Hey, 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 Ron. If you're in here, you're on the stage, but I can't add you until you turn on your mic and your camera. Happy draft night, brothers. If you guys don't know, so the night of the draft that we drafted Evan Mobley, or actually the night of the lottery when we won the third pick to get Evan Mobley. This is what I wore. I wore this exact shirt. I had on these calf shorts. So I'm prepared for this night to go one of two ways. Either we come out of this with that wing that we've been coveting, that we've been waiting on, or we do something really crazy, and I end up opening this Jack Daniel's single barrel Eric Church that I've had for a little while. You can see it; it's really dusty. I've had this for quite some time. So this can go one of two ways. I'm prepared either way. We're already live. I'm expecting Jig at any moment here, and then we'll get started. What's up, Sebastian? What's up? Is that Nate Dag? Is Nate? Is that Nate Dag that I see there? Welcome to the party, Sebastian.
How are you?
All right, you are live with your icon here.
No.
Make sure I got you on the line. Say something for me there, Sebastian, if you don't
I love boobs,
mind.
which is a lie.
Happy hump day to you, brother.
Oh, I'm excited. The next 5 or 6 years of the Cavaliers' destiny will be determined tonight. I think,
You think
or
so?
nothing will happen. Either it's one or the other.
We've had so many draft nights where we're like, all right, this is the night where Kobe's going to strike this or he's going to do that, and then we're all sitting there as we're like, wait. Not only are we not taking any proactive approaches here, but we're actually moving backwards.
Yeah, exactly. I think. I think this year's different though because they have to do something to keep Mitchell
They
happy.
got to do something tonight. My brother,
Hello, fellas.
G.
How we doing?
What's up, my brother?
What's new?
Is that Luke in the background there?
That's him.
There's some species of child back there causing mayhem.
Jig is gracing us with his presence because he's actually he's live on camp duty right now, right?
I am.
That's pretty awesome.
How we doing, boys?
Great.
Won't complain, brother. Won't complain. How's this summer treating you guys so far?
It's good, man. It's good. We're in, as I mentioned, we're in State College. We're at Luke's first. He's been at many b-ball camps, but this is his first overnight on the road camp. So
that's pretty awesome.
It's our second night at Chick-fil-A.
You're gonna be all Chick-fil-A'd out. They got some new something.
Oh, they have something new? I didn't know that. Or I wouldn't have gone for the number one for the second night in a row. Oh, they do have a peach milkshake.
Some type of honey something or something like that. They got
oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
All right. He's showing off over here.
Draft night. We got I sent an invite to quite a few people on the board, and is that where you picked up on the link, Sebastian, by chance?
Yeah, I'm reposting it in a couple other places for people.
Appreciate you, brother. I sent it to about 20 people. Some of our regulars, Jig, and just some other people said, "Hey, just jump in here. We're gonna have an open mic night. Get this thing started."
Okay.
It's been a minute since we connected. How you feel about our coaching hire, Jig?
As you can see from my name, I am a fan. I'm a fan of the Wax Man. I gotta say that the move that he is famous for is actually a sign of resourcefulness and creativity. The earwax is a long known trick. It was once used as lip balm. Not
I am totally in the dark on this, and I'm
you know about that GIF of him.
right where he took the earwax and he went like that.
It was once used as a lip balm. Oddly, he's never been asked about this. I'm shocked that nobody has ever no in this time of social media weirdness, nobody has ever ambush reported him with a question about that. But no, it really was at one time earwax was used as lip balm. So I'm assuming like he was getting a cold sore or something, and assumed that like nobody was watching and pulled that move. But yeah, jokes aside, it really was. I don't know what the fuck he was doing, but
Yeah, it was a definition of disgusting.
it was really gross. It was really really gross. No, here's the in all seriousness, we're looking for like a Mike Brown like repetition here, right? I mean, like Mike Brown went out, learned under Kerr, and then I think we're kind of looking for the same thing, right? Are we kind of in agreement on that one?
Right. Here's something that as we're starting to get into the Kenny Atkinson thing, I was talking to my father earlier today because he knew my affinity for Jordy Fernandez, but he also knew how I felt about Kenny Atkinson. And so this morning, when Brooklyn essentially said, "Hey, we tearing this thing down to the studs here,"
Mm-hmm.
my pops was like, "All right, gun to your head. Would would we go back and would you be like, hey, did Jordy know this before he took that job, and would you like put a feeler out kind of thing?"
The
I'm
hell
totally
is that?
Sebastian is blending his something over there.
How is that? Yeah, either somebody's using a blender or that's an incredible amount of urine.
Yeah, I wish. No, it's the blender. I forgot to mute my stupid mic because I'm talking to Ben at the same time on text.
I'm totally happy with Kenny. I'm ready. The name of this episode actually is "Let Kenny Cook."
Let him cook, baby.
Let him cook. I took that from Jig here, and so the crazy thing about this is I've been on the board nonstop and I've been reading a lot of stuff, and I'm like, some of these returns have been wholly underwhelming.
Yes.
I would be entirely happy with adding, maybe using a 20th pick to add like a Cam Johnson or something like that.
Ooh, yeah.
And then, going into the coaching hire, I was dead set on we got to move Jared Allen. But now that we've got Kenny Atkinson locked in,
yeah, those are his two guys.
I would totally be okay with using that 20th pick to add a 3D wing, consolidating Levert, Okoro, Niang, possibly, into another wing, and then like let's see what this guy can do with that core, before we sell dollars for quarters, because everyone, I believe Donovan, Darius, and Evan are close to dollars when they're being optimized and maximized by a plan.
You think they're going to keep Darius? I mean, clearly there's a commitment to Donovan here.
Yeah, I'm gonna add Claw because Claw just jumped in here too. I'm hopeful from what I've seen so far and some of the rumored returns. I would take keeping Darius and seeing how Atkinson, might adjust the offensive side of the ball.
That's probably the idea. I think you keep everybody together under Kenny. Get him in there cooking in the kitchen.
You guys, both Sebastian and Claude, you guys are both live, but you're both muted. So, but welcome to the club here. Welcome to the club, Brew. Brew is in here. Strong contributor and consistent contributor of the show.
Man,
Brew, if you check your Real Cast fan inbox, I actually sent you a link if you want to jump on the stage with us. Feel free to jump up here. I know he joined us last two draft nights ago, the Tari Eason draft. So that would be what I would that would be what I would like, Jig. I wouldn't mind giving Atkinson an opportunity to cook with this core four, as opposed to selling for quarters on the dollar. So we'll see.
I dig it.
And this is coming from a guy who was after that Celtics series. I was like, all right, we got to move Allen. Like, we got to move Allen. It's time for Mobley to go ahead and step up to the. But
you can do it
with Atkinson. I'm even game for giving Atkinson an opportunity to stretch Allen's game out. Like, I really truly believe he's like a whisperer for getting guys to optimize their games.
You know what I want to see him do.
What's that?
I want to see Craig Porter Jr. getting in the game. That's what I think.
I think we could just not play him, even though he plays well. We could play Mitchell 44 minutes a game, and we could put Craig Porter Jr. in along with Sam Merrill, especially when we're shooting 12% from three. But that's not the plan, so we're not going to
play Donovan for 16 and 17-minute stretches.
I want to see CPJ cooking like CPK.
Somebody I just heard testing. If that's you, Claw, we just heard you just now.
Okay, yeah. Okay, now I know. I haven't used this equipment in a minute, so.
Welcome aboard.
All right.
That's that guy's voice?
Yeah, yes. he's got the Barry White thing going on. Welcome, Claw.
That's your real voice?
Yes, this is my real voice. I actually spoke to whoever owns the RCF Twitter account the other day on Twitter.
Holy
I'm actually
shit,
doing
dude.
a lot of contact with also in a lot of dialogue with M. Young that Rich has mentioned on the same app.
Yeah, that's my boy.
Yeah.
Wow,
really good takes on the team.
You got a voice on you, my man.
Claw, you do have that Barry White. I'm kind of feeling kind of.
Wow, listen to that, brogue. Holy shit, brogue isn't the word. There's a word for that type of voice.
Timber,
wow.
Baritone.
Timber, yeah, timber. Rattles your bones.
It's a hearty cup of soup. Is that what you're saying?
It is. It is, man. Good for you.
I see CCF. I'm going to add CCF to the stage.
Chicago Cat fan? Is that Chicago Cat fan?
Is that a Chicago Cat fan?
Coming in. How are you?
Coming from the back kitchen of a Lou Malnati's.
Is that what you're doing? Are you on the job spot right now?
I can hear him working some dishes out of the kitchen. He's in the kitchen right now. What is it? Or is he like at his kids? Is he serving up hot dogs at his kids' baseball game?
I muted him temporarily. I'm going to see. I don't know if you can. Can you?
Well, I can't blame you for that.
You guys got me?
Yeah, I can. Well, I thought I just heard it.
You there, Chi-Town?
You got me? Can you hear me?
Welcome aboard, my brother.
You got me?
Is that Chicago Cat fan?
That's me. It's Brian here. What's up, guys?
I know this guy. I'm not going to say your last name, but I remember you. I haven't talked to you in a long time. How's it going, man?
Good. What's up, brother?
How you been?
Shit. Now I'm sitting at an airport.
That's that sound.
I'm in Austin,
that makes
Texas.
Sense.
So I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to hop on here and talk to you guys.
Where are you going from and to?
I'm going back to Chicago from Austin.
That's a good city.
I got these earbuds in. Why isn't the camera working, boys? What's up with that?
Can't
I
help
feel like
you
every
that.
time the rest of the country is,
but it is good
I feel
to hear
like every
from.
time the rest of the country is perfectly fine, Central Texas is having all kinds of weather issues. How's the weather down there right now, Chi-Town?
Oh, it's fine. It's sunny as hell, but I'm going to troubleshoot here in a second. Hold tight, fellas.
All right.
I'm going to get this cam working.
I was flying down to Houston right in the middle of that one of those like 8 floods that they had.
Yeah.
So you're not wrong there.
They've got something weird in Texas where the ground just does not take water really well.
No, you are correct about that. They do not. Neither does Florida either. When I was down there.
we got like 20 something people in here, and they're all like, "What are these dudes talking about?" So, if you guys missed our first draft night, which was the Kari Easton draft, it was the draft where we came out of it with Chai.
You want to sit down and get involved?
It's a fun, random night.
Come on,
We
let's
talk
listen
about
up.
whatever. And if you're already live with us, if you're on the stage, let me know, and I'll make sure I add you so you can have something to say. Like I'm getting ready to add Ron right now. Ron usually comes in hot and heavy, a couple shots in already. Are you here, Ron?
It's still early. I've only had like 1.5 drinks, so we're good.
Welcome,
Where
my
in
brother.
Texas are you, Ron? I remember you're in Texas somewhere, but I
Yeah.
don't remember where.
I'm right outside of Houston. Why I'm a little frustrated. You came to Houston, didn't let me know, bro. I would have got you dinner, got you drinks.
We were like in I guess downtown Houston. It was a pretty quick turnaround. We were at the convention center for a. I probably shouldn't say exactly what we do, but
No, that's all
I mean,
good.
with enough research, you can figure it out. But yeah, we were there for a convention a couple months ago.
Well, I would have got you drinks, man. We could have hung out for a minute.
I appreciate it. Next time I get down there, I'll let you know.
Yeah, Ron's pretty
mean,
awesome.
That offer goes for anybody on him.
How did you make it through? Because you guys got flooded like 5 times in a row.
Yeah, no, we're good, man. We're on high ground. Like they built a bunch of where I live. And this is crazy. You are all gonna laugh about this. So where I live used to be a bunch of rice fields. Like all the houses around here were built on rice fields. And to grow rice, you have to flood it, and it stays flooded. Fortunately, the one thing that this builder did right was he built all the elevation up on it. So I mean, the street floods, but our houses are fine out here. Go in the next day, so we're good.
Yeah,
I didn't know they grew rice in
I had no idea either.
Texas.
So here's something that'll get your blood boiling if you think about it. For the last 20 years, the United States government has paid our rice farmers not to grow rice because they were importing it from other countries. Now, about
Sounds
2 years
like
ago,
us.
like 2 years ago, they said, "Okay, we're done paying you guys. Y'all remember how to grow rice because you're gonna have to provide rice now." So, yeah, it's kind of crazy. Where I'm from, Southeast Texas, produce more rice per capita than any other country in the United States. Like in excuse me, any country in the world. We used to produce more poundage of rice than anybody else.
Did not know that was going on.
I'm learning things on this draft night.
I know.
Really,
I did not know
really
that was
quickly,
happening.
and not to interject, but so supposedly Nicholas Claxton is re-signing with the Brooklyn Nets for 4 years, $100 million. So Brooklyn's like, we got to hit that apron, so we're going to re-sign this 27 or 28, however old he is. They're totally confusing. I don't understand them, to be honest.
They're just tanking at this point, right? So every signing that they're doing, like you said, is just to hit the apron, and they want they gave up a crap load just to get their draft picks back to tank for.
Well,
Got it.
surely the Cavs have somebody.
Is
would
Nick any
want
relation to Craig?
tank with Levert.
I
I
would
was
very
thinking the
much like
same
to send
thing.
Levert back to Brooklyn. Go. Somebody else was talking. My bad. Sorry.
You want him out of the kitchen?
Yeah, I don't want to see Levert in the kitchen at all. Like, I don't want any more Chef Karras. Now that we've got Chef Kenny in the kitchen, we don't need any more Chef Karras.
Levert like
too many cooks in the kitchen.
epitomizes to me the JVB administration, the regime, like an incredibly frustrating player that you'll get a couple good performances out of every 10 games. And then he just plays him and he plays him out of position. He plays him playing like shit. And it's like, oh my God, I just want to pull my eyes out every time he's on the court. So I just, by association and just wanting to be sane, he has to go.
There's this weird part, Sebastian, thank you for saying that. There's this weird part of me that's like, I remember young Karras. We're talking like 21, 22-year-old Karras. And the way Atkinson had him playing, I was like, dude, is he like a second option on a contender? So there is a part of me that's like, when you got a guy who's talented and you just need the direction, because by all intents and purposes, JBB just rolled the ball out there and was like, just give me something on that side of the ball.
Sounds like Donovan was glad to do it too.
Yeah. Donovan was like, I'll do that for you. I'll do that at to the tune of 71 points. I got you.
Best friend.
So is it possible Karis LeVert can be real back in? Possibly.
Yeah, somebody else can do that though.
Yeah, I'm okay with letting somebody else try.
How strong of a personality do we feel that Kenny is? I mean, is he the type of guy who's got that weight in the room? Does he have that transformative coaching style where he can come in there and get a guy like Karras to play, 17 to 22 minutes a game and say, listen, man, here's your new role. Have it. Let's win a championship.
I just totally accidentally just kicked somebody out. So give me 1 second. I didn't really do that. I was trying to add somebody to the studio and it kicked them out. So
while you're waiting on that answer, I will say this: the thing that's frustrating about Karras is his agent dictating when he can and can't play. Right?
Sounds like Donovan's was trying to do that too, but yeah, I agree with that.
So I mean, Karras is okay every third night, right?
Yep.
Careless Levert.
I agree with that right there.
I can't read that without thinking George Michael Careless Whisper.
Who's Midge Man? That's the first time I've seen that one.
That is the first time.
The agent thing was just symptomatic of the bigger problem with JBB. I mean, it wasn't just the agents, right? It was probably, I forget who it was that said it, but, Altman was trying to talk some sense into the guy with minutes as well.
If I can comment, and sorry if I was interrupting there, it just kind of came to me. You don't hear about this agent shit with Pop and Kerr
Spoelstra
or Spoelstra, and you wonder if it's just because these guys start interjecting when there's a lack of trust between the leadership and the players. It's just like anything, you know what I mean? Like, I know we've got, some of you guys are in positions of say, and you know how it goes. When people lose faith in decision makers, everybody starts butting their heads in, and rightly so or not, they start giving their opinions, and you can either shoot them down or they can start to weasel in a little bit more. And it just seems like one of these situations where these guys are getting a lot more say than they deserve, or maybe they're even right. I mean, it sounds like in a lot of cases these guys were right. Like it sounds like it turned out like Donovan was having to play injured, and Levert was either getting more minutes than he deserved, or he was playing hurt. And it sounds like JBB was wrong more often than not. And you hate to say that, like, on one hand, he was wrong and the agents were right. And then again, to the original point, this just doesn't happen in these other orgs.
I think, with some of the stuff that surfaced since JBB was let go, that there was seemingly a breakdown in communication at the front office level, coaching level, and the players level as early as the prior season. And the agents interjecting themselves and basically threatening that's just indicative of just a complete lack of confidence in the coach, or either the coach isn't listening. And if the front office is also saying the same thing, it's kind of always a cheap blow to always blame one person. It's like that historical adage, Hitler was crazy, so all the generals were let off the hook. He screwed everything up. It's always the one guy. But sometimes it is just the one guy. If he's making the same mistake over and over again. And when it came to minutes and injuries, there was a pattern there. So maybe it's more than just a correlation.
I don't think we're dropping Tuttle. He's asking. I don't think we're dropping him. I think he's dropping himself, right?
So what's happening is, let me do this real quick. So we have a limit of 10 people that can be on the actual stage live. So what I'm thinking is, whenever somebody's not contributing or doesn't want to be a part of the active conversation, we've got to keep it at 10. People keep trying to jump in and actually have a conversation, and we got guys parked here. You can be in the stream without being on the stage. So let me know.
Who has a live caning going on in the background right now? Who's in Singapore?
I'm pretty sure that's Chi-Town. Are you still in the office?
Chi-Town is watching a live caning. I love him, but he should be mute, or he should be booted.
Yeah,
I'm in a Starbucks in the airport. I'm good.
we got you
Is somebody
abusing
being
some
caned?
something's
Maybe not.
happening.
Somebody's
Oh,
feet
yeah.
are hurting.
He told us he's in Austin, Texas, but he's actually in Singapore right now.
He's in Singapore. Some poor kid was chewing gum.
Yeah,
Like,
and they
happened to the
decided to
wrong
go
flight.
ahead and give him a lashing.
Can you
So
guys hear me?
Tuttle, really quickly, if you guys, so Tuttle, we need you to turn on your mic or to turn on your camera so we can add you to the stage. If you're sitting there, we can't add you without one of those two.
Check.
Yep, we
Hello?
can hear you, Shaital.
Nice.
Not
That'll
a
do it.
stream on the net.
So
So
actually, we got T-5 minutes until this draft gets started. Let's do this real quick. Everybody that's live on the stage, if you don't mind, give me your best case scenario for the Cavaliers. I know we're sitting at 20 right now, but give me your best case scenario before this draft gets started here.
Trade down. Trade back.
I
Trade
heard
period.
trade back from Chi-Town.
Trade the pick. I mean, we're way too far down to be developing players at this point. So trade period.
We have no seconds, right?
I don't
We have
think
no
so.
seconds.
Okay. Yeah, trade back.
So we got a trade back. We got 2 trade backs from CCF and Ron G. I personally
Pick with the player.
What'd you say, Sebastian?
If another player is moving, it's an asset best used as part of a deal to get somebody that would really make a difference at this point. 20. I mean, then there's also the LeBron thing. I'm not going to really go into it, but the Cavs are like at a crossroads of like 4 major directions they can go in. So the pick itself is almost kind of a afterthought in a way. I don't think
just a
that's
pawn in that whole game.
Yeah.
I personally, like, once this whole news broke about the Brooklyn Nets potentially tanking, Cam Johnson jumped to the top of my list. I was like, straight up that number 20 pick, because they're accumulating picks right now, and I know they're looking for future drafts. But I would do anything. Cam Johnson, I don't think I would trade the 20th pick for a DFS as of right now.
Agree.
But then right after Cam Johnson, I would totally Deron Holmes and Filipowski from Duke are my next 2 guys. So the one thing I do not want to have happen is for us to trade one of our core 4 pennies on the dollar.
You talking tonight or
rules
anytime?
about that?
Rich, you talking tonight or anytime? For the core 4.
We're losing people. You there? You got it?
I think we just heard you. I think that was you talking.
Okay. What do you got, Jake? What's a good night for you?
I would also agree on the trade. Hang on, I need to plug this charger in. I would also agree on trading it, make it part of something. And I have long agreed with the Cam Johnson ever since he's been wiping the Cavs out every time we play him. Here we go with the CCF appears to be actually flying the airplane now. Thanks for involving us so deeply in your travels.
Yeah, no, we're.
Should I go mute? Is the kid here?
Yeah.
Before you go mute, I've been Facebook friends with Brian for about maybe 10 years.
Me too. Yeah.
And this is the first time I actually had to have a conversation with him. Shout out to Chicago Cafe.
We used to talk. This is reminding me years ago. We used to talk like.
No, Diego, I got a story for you, brother.
Yeah.
So, recall we were in a fantasy basketball league together?
Yeah.
Maybe 10 years ago, and I didn't know it was your league, right? I was in some random ass league with like a bunch of strangers, right? So,
oh, really?
I think it's the year COVID hit, right? And the season was stopped. And
that wouldn't have been my league. But go on. Yeah.
Oh, they wanted. No one paid yet. And they're like, "Give me the money." And I'm like, "Shit, I don't know you guys. I'm not gonna pay you guys money."
Oh, that would have been me. If it was somebody hassling people for money, it was me. Yeah.
I ended up paying it. But I was like, I think I paid the league.
Jay, were you shaking these guys down for this draft?
Oh yeah. I always I always like to make it a whole bit to shake everybody down for their dues and make a big deal out of it. I get a lot of pleasure out of making a whole deal out of it.
I got served at work.
Because I make a whole big deal out of it, and then a lot of the time what happens is people end up paying, and I wish Jesus was on this call. What happens is people end up paying me in weird currencies or sending me boxes of weird shit. The one year I had a friend pay me in Korean yuan. And another year I had a guy, which was Jesus, pay me in a Taco John's mint, an old DVD copy of the movie Contact, a Tupac Resurrection CD, some like expired David seeds, sunflower seeds, and just a box of just real treasures.
Clearly.
And it's just been a consistent bit, and I really enjoyed it. But I'm out of all fantasy leagues altogether. It's too much effort.
Contact, like the Jodie Foster movie?
Yeah, Contact with Jodie Foster.
Not
Great
First
flick.
Contact, the Star Trek movie.
Not that movie. No, with Jodie Foster, where she shows her jugs.
Oh yeah. The aliens are talking to me.
That's right.
Yep.
Really quickly, guys, I'm gonna jump in here with the actual draft. Soul Blade 23 is so graciously providing us with a little, calf spin on the Claxton extension. It says with the Brooklyn extension for Claxton, that's another big off the market. You're right, because he was I can't remember which city he was being rumored to. They were like, hey, we should go after Claxton kind of thing. But that does increase the market for Allen on the trade market front. So shout out to Soul Blade 23. What's your RCF name? Soul Blade 23.
I'm on here too. It's me, Foucault.
Okay, Foucault. Got it. Appreciate it, bro.
So regarding the Nets,
shout out to Brew. Wait, you can't just start talking. Wait a minute. Let me see if I can find some claps for you.
Brewski.
Go ahead, Brew.
Yeah. So regarding the Nets, they're tanking. They're dumping salary. They're going to need to make a salary floor. They've got a very valuable expiring contract, Ben Simmons.
Yikes.
All right. Yeah, nobody
sorry,
wants him. But if you're a team out there with a really crappy contract for 2, 3 years, 4 years, where you've got somebody committed, you'd be better off taking or acquiring Simmons, dumping that long-term bad contract. Brooklyn can eat it. It won't matter. They're not competitive. And Brooklyn could get some draft picks or other assets out of it. Because there are some teams that have got some long-term, really horrible contracts they'd like to get out of. I'm sure Bradley Beal would like to unload him, but he's got a no-trade clause. But there's some other guys out there, too.
I agree. That is a good point. Like, is Simmons going to be on the move tonight? There's been a bunch of discussion, and I'm not qualified to talk about this because I'm still learning. I'm actually learning through Mirror Rich on the board about the whole apron part of the new CBA. And so there is a discussion where Ben Simmons actually has value for helping teams that are apron teams and potentially get out from over that apron, start those penalties, reset those penalties and stuff.
I mean, they may help them next year, but they don't help them this year.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's what the discussion is about. Like what Brew just said, with Beal's deal. What is Beal's deal? Like 4 years, 3 years going forward or something like that?
3 years, like $40 million a year, $44 million a year.
Yeah. We got liftoff on this draft. We've got Adam Silver up here talking. I'm going to let you guys run this for just a second while I go grab my MacBook because I cannot hear the draft. So give me just a second.
I just want to, real quick, I'm going to address the point that got highlighted a second ago by Richfield, which was best case scenario, we sign and trade Okoro for 20 plus, get DFS and a future heavily protected pick. I want DFS, but I can't see anybody signing Okoro to 20 plus. Like, we all saw what Okoro is, right? I tried to buy him for 3 years in a row, and it's just bad. I don't see anybody signing for that. He'll be lucky if he gets $12 million a year, and which is slightly over what the $11 million qualifying offer is.
So I will say I think Okoro's value around the league is a little higher than some of us as Cavs fans see it. Part of that comes from, we see him every day, so we see the flaws a little bit more than some of the other folks do. But like John Hollinger, for example, did his metrics versus like salary calculation, and that came out to Okoro being like high MLE, so 15 to 18, and I think possibly as high as 20 mil. So his value, there is some value for him in around the league, which makes me think we could get something pretty good if we go for a sign and trade down the road.
Who's that talking? Sorry, I just jumped back in here.
Oh, that's me.
Was that Foucault?
Yep.
Yeah.
What's up, Foucault?
No, God bless you for thinking that. And I agree with you. I mean, if Okoro can get $20 million from anybody, he should go steal that money right away and then check into witness protection, because he's not worth $20 million a year. But
did you guys see the face palm thing on hours ago?
Supposedly it was a hack.
Is that what they said? They said he was hacked?
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Which thing? What did I miss?
So still talking about Okoro.
So to recap, because you guys both walked away, was I was addressing the post that got highlighted, saying that Okoro would be signed for 20 plus a year, traded for DFS and a highly protected first round future pick. And I was just saying, well, I hope so. I mean, I would love that, but in the real world is Okoro worth $20 million a year? You're talking Jared Allen production. I'm setting the baseline, the minimum Jared Allen, the contract that everybody wants at this point, because Jared Allen produces on offensive and defensive side, right? At $20 million a year. That's not Okoro. He plays really decent defense, but he's scared to shoot, right?
Ron, you got a dissenting. I think it's Foucault, if I'm not mistaken.
That was Soulblade. Soulblade is Foucault. Midgeman is
that's
somebody
right.
else.
That's right.
That might be Rousseau. That might be Rousseau talking right now.
Who?
No, you're good. You're not hurting my feelings. I just don't think that Okoro is worth $20 million a year. But if somebody wants to sign and trade him for $20 million and give us an asset for it, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I don't either, Ron. So I agree with you. Here's the thing that's funny. There was a mention of Keldon Johnson, and I didn't say this just because Garland. I'm like, they're nowhere in the same stratosphere. I very much believe. I think Okoro might be like 16 or 18 months younger than Keldon Johnson. I very much believe that Okoro with a capable coach can produce like Keldon Johnson. I think it gets overshadowed that we were literally asking him to just stand in the corner for his offense for the last 3 years. So Popovich doesn't do that, and so we're like, oh, Keldon Johnson is this and he's that. He's more of a rebounder than Okoro, sure. But I don't see this entirely huge gap between Okoro and Keldon Johnson. I think they're both like poor man's Josh Hart with like less playmaking, to be honest. I personally believe that Okoro is somewhere in that 16 to 18 million max. I mean, tops for what he should be paid. And that's personally, I was like, if we were going to extend Okoro, I'd be like 12, 14, just because I'm ready to move out of the Okoro business. But I don't see him going out in the market and bringing back a whole lot when he's not a willing shooter. So.
Yeah, I could say goodbye to Okoro at this point. I've been one of his biggest haters.
And I know Brew won't like this. I think Brew is going to take himself off mute and just start assassinating people right now.
He loves Okoro.
He loves him some quads, but I want out of that business, Brew.
He loves Okoro like I love CPJ.
You can count me in the moving out from Okoro camp as well.
You're out, Sebastian?
Yeah, I mean, if they can get a trade where they bring back a pretty good role player that can do what Okoro was supposed to do, I would be ecstatic, because they're past the point where they can't afford to let guys develop. They've already got Mobley. They're developing, and he's the key to the franchise. Like you need a bird in the hand, not one in the bush.
I want to.
I mean, fair
Go
enough,
ahead, Brew.
but if we're past the point of letting guys develop, then why are we talking about taking an undrafted free agent who doesn't have a three-point shot and letting him run the club in the backcourt? I mean, even though we're not, I agree that we're not at the development that we were 3-4 years ago, I still think we're going to need to have a couple guys develop. Now, I don't think we can develop very, very many, and if it's, we'll develop one guy over the other, I get that. But I don't think we're anywhere near the point where we can stop developing players. I don't think we're that close to a ring or competing at that level.
I agree. I agree with Brew. I think the big difference is Coral's it's time to get paid, supposedly, like right now. So if I'm not mistaken, he's a unrestricted free agent this summer. So he can literally go out and shop if he chooses to.
Absolutely.
Unrestricted. He's restricted.
Restricted. Yes,
he's restricted. So that's the other problem is anybody offering Okoro, they have to wait for the Cavaliers to match and then they miss out. That's why it's so hard for restricted free agents to get offers from other teams.
Okay. All right. Yeah, no, I Brew coming in swinging the heavy stick. I agree with that. I'm not because if I'm not mistaken, CPJ is actually a little bit older than Okoro.
Oh, first pick's in, guys. First pick is in. Sorry to interrupt.
And actually, I got money on this, so you guys let me know. My feed keeps going out.
It's going to be Bronny.
It's not Sar.
It's not Sar?
It's not Sar.
How do you know? Please let it be Sar, because that's what gets me money here.
Uh-oh.
That would be so stupid on their part. Like I figured it was going to be like a whole Banchero thing all over again. You remember how right up until the pick went in, they were like, "Oh, we might take Jabari," and we're thinking about it's who?
Zashir.
I told you.
Risa Shea. Yeah.
I totally missed this
Shea.
guy. What's the scoop on him?
I think he's a French forward from France.
6'9" shooter, Peja Stojakovic. He averaged 8 points a game. And during the workout thing, they said, we like the way his jumper looks, is what they said.
Hawks are going to Hawks. God.
So they just made him the number 1 overall pick.
Jesus.
And I just lost 100. I put 100 on 1,500 on this. And that was going to turn into... Yeah, that was going to turn into 1,500 if I won. So I just lost that.
Hey,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I thought before the draft that because Sar didn't work out with Atlanta, kind of is low key forcing his way to Washington, that they probably was going to go with Risa Shea, and they did.
Well, Banchero didn't work out with Orlando either, I believe. So it's just a new age, man. It's kind of crazy. Dave said it's pretty clear that Sar was the best or had the highest ceiling for the 2 French prospects. That's crazy to me. And I believe that his camp just didn't want him to go to Atlanta because of Okoronkwo and Capella. So.
Sure didn't have anything to do with their shitty point guard.
Which one? They got a couple of them.
I mean, the point guard that everybody wanted us to draft a couple of years ago, if I remember correctly.
I'm looking at yeah. I'm watching the feed right now, and Landry Fields is the GM in Atlanta. He's super happy. Landry Fields, what are you doing?
He's costing you $100 tonight.
Risa Shea just doesn't flow off the tongue. Like I'm not buying those new Risa Sheas, those Air Risa Shea 3s. I'm not getting those.
They're making the face of the franchise a Frenchman. Are they mad? I mean, you talk about players with mood swings. That whole country has mood swings.
There's a chance.
Time out. Hold on. Anybody said they were going to commercial? Who's the guy in the baby blue suit? Look like Rick James with the hair down to his shoulders. That's who we need to draft.
I don't think I saw that guy yet. Ron.
Oh, all right. If the feed catches up, you got to see him.
Yeah, all right.
That was hysterical.
I got to admit, guys, when I saw the Mikal Bridges news for the Knicks, it made me jealous as hell. Because
Sorry for coming in here late. I think the big go ahead. Sorry about that.
no, it's good. You go. It's like the Bengals, right? They draft the quarterback and the receiver. They play the same team. They play in LSU together. Now the Knicks got Villanova over there. That's got to be a fun team to root for. I'm jealous of that shit.
Yeah, that's actually gonna be pretty cool. Like, who was that? Was that Chicago Cab that just said that?
Yeah, that was me talking. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually gonna be pretty cool. For all the shit that everybody gave Leon Rose and World Wide West,
yeah,
it's been kind of cool watching them build that. They did it purely off of relationships. You know, like I did not foresee them building a team where they were gonna be like, hey, the number one guy is gonna be like Jalen Brunson. But the way that they play and the way everything is aligned, it kind of has like a Spurs feel to it. Because those two dudes are so lock and step the way they're building this team out.
Yeah.
Somebody said purely off tampering out the ass. That's possible. But you can afford to tamper when everything is lock step, you know? Like it's like a new age version of what the Spurs were doing with R.C. Buford and Greg Popovich. They're identifying the guys that they really want, and then they're just trying to go lock in on those guys. And then they have Tibbs, who's fully bought in the way they're building the team. Like, I don't expect Julius Randle to come back for New York.
Agreed.
So,
Julius Randle. No, agreed. Hold on. Let's talk about it for a second, because I know you're a secondary New York fan. Sorry to throw you out there, but there's no way Julius Randle can come back for them and play, right? They got to trade him.
It's either him or OG, right?
Well, they just
I
re-signed
think
OG for 4 years or 5 years.
I actually think they're going to keep Randall.
Foucault, you think they're going to keep Randall?
Yeah, I think part of the problem is that without Randall, their secondary shot creation moves to like DDV, OG, Mikal. These guys are all can't really carry an offensive load, so you end up having to run Brunson into the ground, which is what we saw happen in the playoffs. Randall gives them another guy who can actually create. So I don't think they're going to move Randall unless they have, someone else that can create his own shot and shots for others coming back. And Randall's actually been surprisingly efficient in the last couple of years. I mean, we all have memories of that 2022, 23 run, 21 run, right, where he just kind of shot like 35% the entire way, but he's been pretty good this year, and he's up to about 8 3-point attempts per game. So he's not just checking up these mid rangers anymore. He's really refined his offensive game. So it's something to watch for.
Can they afford to get him on there with OG too? When does Hart get paid again?
Hart's under contract for another 3 years.
Yeah, I thought he already got paid when he went to the Knicks.
Yeah.
He did. So, like, they've got this weird thing that they're doing. So the next guy that's up for them is trying to determine what they're going to do. Hartenstein and Mitchell Robinson, potentially. But their core of Villanova guys are locked in, if I'm not mistaken.
Man.
No, you're right.
So,
you're right. They are locked in. Their core of Villanova guys are locked in.
it's been kind of fun watching them build. I don't
hate the Knicks. Yeah.
You say you don't hate the Knicks?
I don't hate the Knicks at all, man. We've talked about this. I don't hate those guys because I don't hate the. It starts with liking the Villanova guys. You know what I mean? Who didn't? Brunson didn't even start in New York. Neither did Hart. They didn't even start in New York.
Those Villanova guys always get out the mud.
They do.
Jay Wright was, if I'm not mistaken, Josh Hart was like a community college guy when he made his way to. I don't know where he went, but he didn't start off at Villanova. And I've always loved the way Jay Wright develops guys because he develops them to play the game the right way.
Yep.
The Wizards are taking Sarr number 2. So
is that Frenchman? Is that Frenchman back to back?
Yep.
Yeah, two French guys. This is the better of the two by my definition.
Were either one of them wearing black and white striped shirts and had cigarettes pinned into their cheeks?
The Wizards also just made a trade.
Oh yeah, sending Denny Avia, who I really wanted. I
To the
could see him.
Trailblazers.
Yeah, I could see him being slotted next to either Mobley or Allen. So they dealt Avia to the Blazers for Brogdon and 14 earlier tonight.
And the Rockets are set up.
The Rockets will fuck this up. Trust me.
Well, I mean that might be true, but they got potential to really get themselves set up here. They don't need a center, so they're not going to go with what's his name out of UConn.
Come again?
Y'all want to hear something? So just now, news broke within the last half hour that Jimmy Butler will not sign an extension with the Heat, and he's going to become a restricted free agent next summer. So
is he mad at Spoelstra?
Or
and
Pat Riley? You know, Pat
Riley
Riley was talking shit.
Is he butthurt? Yeah, he's butthurt at Riley.
A little bit, I think so.
I think that's the one NBA player who spent his whole career being butthurt about something.
He is, yeah. These guys can't handle. They can't handle it.
Jimmy Butler was homeless before he went to Marquette. Like
I know.
You don't make it through that without having a chip on your shoulder a little bit.
Yep. You just can't take it. They can't take that. They say they can take the smoke, but they can't, man.
I'm just going to quote some random Cavs Twitter, but I see somebody projecting that the reason why Okoro posted that is because he got lowballed on an extension. They're saying that they probably lowballed him, and then he posted that like, yeah, right.
I don't even think it's possible to lowball Okoro at this point. As a Cavaliers fan, I'll say that. Anybody else on the outside looking in might disagree with me, but every year for the last 3 years, people are trying to get me buy in. Halfway through, I want to buy in, and then he does Okoro shit. No, I'm not buying in. I don't even care if we lose him and we don't get anything back for him. Like, he can go sign with somebody else, and I'll be 100% okay with it.
No, I feel confident that he is who he is at this point.
Yeah. They're saying Shams on his Twitter feed is actually spoiling the picks. Let me see.
Yeah, Woj had been doing that. Yeah, right, exactly. Woj was doing that every year. It's like, dude, we get it. Like, we understand you're connected. Like, we'd rather just watch the freaking draft.
Well,
Rhodes was like, "Oh, I'm feeling I can't remember. He was doing it like in a really subliminal way. For some reason, I don't have Shams on my feed over here right now.
No, you ain't missing shit.
What's Anthony Bennett up to right now? Is he watching this draft?
I know he's on CPAP somewhere, just like my fat ass.
Recently, wasn't he?
You know what I bet he's not doing? Eating rice.
Or pussy.
Yeah.
all right, pause.
Oh my!
Wow, thanks, Ron.
Oh, my bad. You can kick me out at any point. That's fine.
But
My son's eating cereal about 10 feet away. He's fine.
Yeah, just sitting right there, just like, what did you say, Dad?
He meant eating cats.
Yeah,
he's not eating cats.
We've only ever owned dogs. We're fine.
Yeah, at least Sarr went second. I think Alex Sarr is a little overrated. And the only reason I say that is because we knew who was going to be a hero from last year's draft, right? And it was kind of iffy in this year's draft who was going to be the top pick, even in the top 3, right? And Sarr going to the Wizards, it makes a lot of sense, but I still don't think he's even half the player that San Antonio got last year for the number 1 pick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wemby, of course, is like a generational talent.
Generational guy.
To be.
Absolutely.
So, like, there was no consensus number 1 this season. I think they did kind of nail who might go top 2 or 3. Well, yeah, they did nail who was going top 3 based on just what just happened. But like, never like a consensus number 1. I think even in the Paolo situation, guys mentioned earlier, Paolo. I felt was more like a consensus number 1. He felt to me he was like the best guy in the draft. Like there was a little bit of debate, but I felt it was going to be Paolo.
Can we briefly talk about how damn good Paolo was?
Yeah,
that kind of pissed me off.
Man, is he good?
I had him pegged as like Derek Coleman or Purvis Ellison or something like that. Yeah.
He is going to be a star.
Yeah, no, he's gonna be a beast.
Great.
He has
You
got
got
some
on fire.
all-around game, and he's a dog, man.
Things will get a lot
Luke
better
has
for
pointed
Paolo.
out that he's only an 88 in NBA 2K. Well, he's going to be going up to a 93 soon.
Yeah, the second Orlando gets some more spacing on that team,
Yep.
he will have less to worry about,
Yep.
and then he'll just be able to cook. Because he looks very much like he looks so very much like he's almost a Durant level. I'm not saying he's Durant, but you know
Yep,
what I'm saying?
that's exactly
he has
what
the
he looks
same
like.
kind of like, effortless way of shooting ball.
It's exactly what he looks like. Where he can get to the hoop from anywhere. He can post guys up. He can drive. He's got that. That's a great comparison, actually. Sadly for everybody else, including the Cavs in the East.
I want to point out Reed Shepherd from Kentucky, who I was never impressed with. I feel like every game that I actually watched Reed Shepherd play, he was like a guard who the moment seemed too big for me. I know he's a true freshman. I can't believe he was just not a third pick in this draft. That's how terrible. To me, he'd be like a 15, 16 pick kind of thing. But have yourself a day, Reed Shepherd. I'd also like to point out the first 3 picks in this draft. He averaged 12 points a game, 54% shooting, 52% from 3. But the 2 Frenchmen in their league, I think they averaged like 8 and 9 points or something like that. So,
is this the thing now with these French ballers? Is this like a whole deal? Is there like a whole pipeline of these guys coming out?
I think this was pretty unique. Just this year where there wasn't a lot of top end domestic talent, where these guys are, people are willing to take swings on them.
They had 2 lottery picks last year too, though, between
that's what I'm saying.
and
Wemby. Yeah.
The Olympic team's gonna be all 7-footers.
I mean, basketball's pretty big in France.
Too.
It's become a lot more popular the past 20 years.
Yeah. The Tony Parker, Boris Diaw generation really got a lot of, and Ronnie Torioff. Can't forget Ronnie Torioff.
Good call.
Really got a lot of people interested over there.
There's a really good documentary for Tony Parker. I think it's on Prime or something like that. And they covered the way that he inspired like a whole generation of little French hoopers. Monica McNutt doesn't do it for me. I've got to point that out.
I'm not digging his suit.
Did you say his suit?
Yeah, Shepherd's suit or whatever his name is. It's like a
I thought you were talking about Monica McNutt.
Avocado green thing. I don't know. It's not a great choice.
Yeah, that's not very appealing. He's definitely not Grady Dick from last year.
Yeah, you stole the words out of my mouth. It's like they can't all be Grady Dick,
Yeah.
Right out of your mouth.
That was the first name I was about to say, dog. Pause. Yeah.
Pause. Yeah. You got to support that.
But you know what I'm saying? Like it was a first. That was the first person I thought of when you were talking about suits. Yeah. So Spurs coming up next. They have 2 picks in this draft. I think the Nets and OKC have a ton of picks in the first round. Not surprising with the latter, and after that, Bridges deal, they've got a whole bunch. I don't know what they're going to do all those picks. Knicks have 2 picks still in this draft.
Wait a minute.
24 and 25.
Did we say the Spurs are 4th right here coming up?
Yeah, the Spurs, they have number 4 and number 8.
Spurs are taking Castle at number 4. Shams just ruined it for the whole world.
I've heard some rumors that the Hornets may be looking at and his name was just on here. I think he's another French player. Jean Salon from France. I think they might be looking at him, especially now that the Spurs seem to be taking Stephon Castle.
Say that name one more time, Claw.
I think his name is Tijan Salon. He's a wing from France.
Say it one more time.
I think his name. I don't really know how to pronounce it. Usually with Ricochet, I had to hear somebody say it, so I didn't
Ricochet.
mess around. Yeah, but
He's got a built-in nickname.
yeah.
Do you guys think that, while I understand that Tony Parker probably had some impact on this clear French basketball explosion, how much do you think Mikel Petrus had to do with this this build-up in his...
You're going to mention that guy. Oh, my God.
As he was doing this to LeBron and everybody in the 2008.
The timeline matches up,
Conference
unfortunately. 16 years ago, guys.
Man,
That was 16 years ago, fellas.
I wasn't even born.
That is correct, Luke.
never
I
show
met-
him that. I still have PTSD.
I
from
met
that.
your mom 1 year before that. I'd been dating your mom for 1 year. What do you think about that? I don't know whether you care. You asked.
So really quickly, rubber rim job. I just placed a bet for Klingon to go 7th overall.
Yeah, he that's that. He made that kind of anticipated drop because those French biggies.
Because those bigs from France.
Yeah, I like
You know what?
Klingon, man.
I
He's
just
a good player.
So Castle makes a lot of sense for as a prospect for San Antonio because their guard play is, to say it nicely, suboptimal, and
Right.
they're trying to this whole like Jeremy Sohan trying to be Dre Bum thing is just I don't think it's going to work out. So like it is getting an actual guard maybe that has some like upside with playmaking.
I don't know.
Castle, in one of the interviews before the draft, Claw, he said that he sees himself as more of a point guard. But he was limited by what he could do at UConn because it's a championship contender. He's one of those Atlanta kids who I actually saw him play AAU ball. And one of the companies that I have a little small equity in, they were out on the front of the NIL stuff, and he was a kid that I got to see play probably I think his junior year or so. He was at the time he was like 6'4", and I thought he was going to go somewhere where they put the ball in his hands. So he is listed as a combo guy, and his defense is what he's known for. He does not have a reliable jumper yet. Malachi Branham, Blake Wesley. I'm trying to think. There's one more guy that's down there, that not even including the dude from Florida State. Everybody is drooling over.
Vassal?
Yeah, Vassal, Devin Vassal. I think he's better than both Branham and Wesley already. The kid from the point guard, Trey, what's his name, the little guy? His brother plays for Washington.
Trey Jones.
Yeah, Trey
Tyus
Jones'
brother, yeah.
He's the only point guard on the team that actually is more of a true point guard than this kid. So we'll see. I feel like Castle is very close to what DeJounte Murray was when he was drafted out of Washington. But it took DeJounte Murray 2 or 3 years before Pop trusted him with the ball. So all of that to say, if they treat him like a off guard who's going to be their defensive stopper, and they try to acquire like a Trae Young or a Darius Garland, I could see that. And they would move off of Vassal in that case. So I don't see Castle being their everyday point guard.
Yeah, I see that. Here's a funny thing. They just had UConn players drafted on the screen on the draft that I'm watching, and I saw Donyell Marshall there. And here's a fun fact: where I still get my hair cut, barber I go to, Donyell Marshall got his cut there as well. And when he was with the Cavs, and we were just talking about this past Saturday, and how like when I walked in, like a person I used to work with told me he was in there, and I was like, yeah, right. I went in there one day. It's like, wow, an actual NBA player just doing normal things. And, you actually get to see like how tall, like he was a center. You see how tall these people are. Like, a lot of people
Yep.
say, well, you're tall. But no, you get to see how real tall people are when you meet NBA players like that. And
Yeah,
so
that's pretty cool.
it's kind of funny to see that.
Even when people are like 6'5", a 6'5" person in person is gigantic. When you see people that are like 6'9" to 7'3" in person, they look like aliens.
Yeah, it's an entirely different world.
What is he? Is he 6'9"? Is he 6'9"? He's 6'9", isn't he? Daniel?
Daniel Marshall, yeah.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
6'9".
That's a crazy, incomputable, I think that's a word, height when you see it in person.
Well played, Jay. Well played.
I don't know if that's a real word. I think it is.
So they just put the I don't know if you guys are familiar with this. Is it called Overtime Elite? The alternative to the G League that they're doing down in Atlanta. I think it is.
Ignite?
Is it Ignite? No.
Yeah.
So there's a whole nother league. Not the G League Ignite.
Oh, it's G League Ignite. That's right.
Yeah. There's a whole league. It's on Amazon Prime and stuff. They built a whole arena for it right at Atlanta Station, downtown Atlanta. And then they've got like 4 or 5 teams where they're going out and they're recruiting these kids out of high school that don't want to go to college, and they play in this league. So my girlfriend, she had a condo at the top of Atlantic Station down there. And Atlantic Station has, like a bunch of, how Atlanta is with all their pretenders and stuff. Like Bow Wow was in the building, and all these social influencers and all this kind of stuff.
Lil?
And you say what?
Lil?
Yeah,
Lil Bow Wow?
Lil Bow Wow. Yeah. You get on the elevator and he's in there, doing his pretend thing and everything. And they built this little stadium like right next to the Atlantic, which is a high rise down there. And at the time, right before she moved out of there, the Thompson twins were active players for this league. And so that arena, they're treating it like it's an everyday gym. They do all their practicing, all that kind of stuff there. So as I was coming out of there pretty regularly, I kept running into these future NBA players. Just like right across the street from the arena and her building was a Publix, and there's like a movie theater and all these grocery stores and stuff. So all these kids, these future NBA players, would just go over there, like watch movies and shop at Publix and all this kind of stuff. So just co-signing what Claude just said. I'm walking through Publix, just getting some like crab legs or something like that, and I turn a corner and these 6'6", 6'7" dudes. I was like, wait a minute, you about to go straight to the NBA? Are standing there. It kind of throws you off a little bit because you're like, they don't look like that on TV, and they don't look like that like around all their peers and stuff. But it's just good to see the person. So.
Not that it's much of a story, but did I ever tell that story about how when I was in college, me and my buddy, I can't remember the restaurant, but me and my buddies were eating at some restaurant in Dallas, and we got up and we started walking out, and Tracy McGrady and Yao Ming walked in.
No.
I didn't mention that? Yeah.
I would remember that, especially with Yao Ming.
Yeah. We were walking out. It was, I can't remember if it was around playoff time or it probably would have been around then because it would have been like near graduation, which would have been like May. We got up and walked out. Those two walked in, and it was like, we walked right by them, and none of us said a word until we got about 100 yards past them, and then we all just looked at each other and we were just laughing and laughing.
Like,
what do you even say? And truly, I mean, it's like walking past aliens, man.
First and foremost, why were the two of them just walking? We're gonna add Smooth to the stage. He just jumped in.
I assume it's because they were eating there too. I mean, because it was a really nice restaurant. I couldn't tell you the name of it because I honestly don't remember.
I got in an elevator with Yao Ming one time.
Did you?
Yes, I did, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna send a picture I'll send a picture to Rich. Well, he can post it if he wants to. I have a picture of me in New Orleans for the All-Star game with Vlade Divac.
Big man too.
I'm all of 5'8" on a good day. If I'm stretched out the whole 9 yards, dude, my head was at his waist.
Yeah, right. Same. I'm 5'9". Yeah,
and Pet,
Body's a good 7-1.
it was Body and Petrov, and I have a picture of him. I'm gonna send it to Richard. If he wants to post it, he can post it. I don't care. It ain't gonna hurt my feelings. But the same shit happened when I got on that elevator. I looked over at Yao Ming and I was like, "Holy
Crazy.
shit! This dude just kept
That's funny.
going."
He's thick too. Like he's got like legs like tree trunks, and he was so wide. It was like he was like 2 me's wide.
Looks like Portland's making moves.
I was just about to say that. I'm gonna jump in here and give everybody. I'm gonna give the introduction to Smooth. Smooth is joining the party. Smooth is pulling it like a double right now because he was just on. What was the name of the podcast? I just watched that right before we went live.
Cleveland Pulse, which is like one of the local Cavs blogs or Cleveland blogs that are willing to allow us to speak into existence what's going on.
What do you got in the background there? What are those? Those look cool.
It's the block. It's like 3 pictures like leading up to the block. He got one right as he's chasing down Iguodala, one in action.
Those are really cool. Who did those?
It's called, I think, R Icons, OUR Icons.
Very nice.
I think there's Prince.
Those are sweet.
I totally thought you were gonna say Infante. I would say that.
He should.
That's how you represent. So really quickly, Ron Holland from G League Ignite just got drafted to Detroit. So
he kind of gives, I don't know if it's thinking back too far, but he kind of gives like Michael Kidd Gilchrist vibes, where you're really betting on the upside, the talent, but that shot, how broke is that shot?
Yeah. I actually haven't watched that kid play at all. We were just, right before you jumped in here, Smooth, we were telling stories about running into these guys in person. And I was sharing a story about the Overtime Elite, that little league that's down in Atlanta. And how I ran into the Thompson twins at the Publix across from Atlantic Station down there a couple times, who still have those broken jumpers, but I can't believe they just drafted him to go along with Amir Thompson or Asar Thompson. I can't remember which one is in Detroit.
And they got Duran. How are you going to space that?
Detroit is going to Detroit, that's for sure.
Just to kind of pick up what you just said, Rich, Amir Thompson is Questlove from the Roots.
That is Amir Thompson. Asar and what? No, I think one is Amir Thompson. Amen. Thank you.
Asar.
In my defense, our birthdays are just a couple days apart, me and Questlove. So I got all his books sitting over here. So there's no slander for Questlove when I say that.
Guardians down 4-2. Baltimore.
Yeah, I saw. They were up. If I'm not mistaken, they were up like 3-1, or that kid they called up hit a home run earlier today.
Orioles scored 2, in the last 2 innings. This would be an okay one to lose. They won the series already.
Yeah, they were due.
Cookie had a good game.
I don't know if you guys saw. I just put in the 15-year forum. One of our buddies said Cavs loved De Silva, and Tyler Smith was another guy at 20 that they were looking at.
I'm here for that. I'm actually here for De Silva. I would like to go big, Smooth, to be honest.
Same.
I would like to go big.
Picks getting traded. Come on.
I have not, but if they, because for me, I think the big is going to be the big that can actually stretch the floor is going to be harder to acquire. And what we're seeing is a couple of these teams that are trying to either avoid the apron or just trying to tank now, like Brooklyn. There's going to be guys that are going to be available for the next couple of weeks here. DFS, Cam Johnson. So I know they said De Silva was reported as being like the smartest basketball IQ in the draft, but Filipowski and Deron Holmes, I think, are still rated higher for me.
If you're keeping Garland and Mitchell, I don't know. I feel confident De Silva being able to share the floor defensively with those two. I mean, I don't think he's a strong point of attack defender that they need. His lateral quickness is not really there. I think I'm what Dan called it out. I think Baylor Sheeman tested way better than De Silva did at the combine.
Right.
Maybe he's one of those guys who just plays better than he practices and tests, but I don't know. If those two guys you want back, I don't know how you share the floor with those three.
Now I will say I'm triggered. Shearman, I'm okay with. I'm triggered by combine results and also workout warriors because I still haven't gotten over the whole Tari Eason thing.
You mean when you don't remember when Wine and Gold was enthralled with Christian Ienga coming in and practicing with his left hand and touching the top of the backboard? You mean that Tari Eason is getting you and not Christian Ienga?
I still can't believe we drafted Christian Ienga in that draft. It was like the crazy thing is, where would Christian Ienga go in this draft right here? Because I feel like he might be a lottery pick while we're making fun of him. What was he, the last pick in the first round that year?
I love Fran Fraschilla saying I think it was about who was it about? I think it was Bruno. I don't know. I say his last name, the Brazilian.
Caboclo.
Yeah, he's 3 years away from being 3 years away.
I watched him. The last thing, and we're gonna get off of these guys. I watched him earlier today. Brazil played. I want to say Serbia, or they're doing their friendlies right now as they're warming up for like the summer games and stuff. And Raul Neto was running point guard for Brazil. Bruno Caboclo, and then they had this reserve guard that was playing just like what's his name from Golden State, the Brazilian blur.
Barbosa.
Oh, Barbosa.
Barbosa, and they were taking it to this team. I can't remember who they played. It was a European team that's like middle of the pack kind of thing. But Brazil looks long. Brazil looks tough. So don't ask me why I was watching that. I just had it in the background when I was working earlier. But Bruno Caboclo, he's starting to fill out, and he actually looks like a center now. But he's still 3 years away today.
You're just flexing your basketball savantness that you're watching that in the background.
I legit was watching it. Then I was watching. There was another game that came on right after that I looked up in the first half. Egypt was battling with another European country, and they were actually tied. In the second half, Egypt didn't score like 5 points for the entire second half. And in both cases, I'm like, man, I should know who the European country was, but they're not like contenders, but they're good enough where it's like this game should not be close. So. All right, number 7.
Another Frenchman picked.
Who is it, Claude?
I just don't get what Charlotte's been doing the last few years. I mean,
Oh, that's crazy.
Another Frenchman. My goodness.
This is the guy Claude was talking about, right? Tejan Soulon.
Yeah, I just had to unmute to hear his name pronounced. Tejan Salon.
Tejan Soulon. Thank you, brother.
And
Well, I have no idea what Charlotte is doing either. I can't remember. Was that you, Sebastian, that just said that?
Yeah.
Even more crazy to me, and we were talking about this before you jumped on Smooth. I was like, I wonder if they told Jordy. I wonder if they told Jordy before they hired him in Brooklyn. They were getting ready to tear this thing down with studs. Because he could have waited a couple of weeks, but we're locked in with the guy we got. But still, that to me is crazy because they went from, and everybody was like, are they pretending? Like, what are the sides really doing up there? For them to wait till draft night and just give people away. So.
I think any coach that decides to go to Brooklyn has to be aware of the chances or the history of that team. Just either they're all in or they're tearing everything down. It seems like their one stable defining characteristic is their instability.
I was listening, Sebastian. I was listening to Simmons and Russillo right before we started this, and they were actually giving them props for recovering all the draft picks they did. They said between the Kevin Durant draft, the Kevin Durant trade, and this Bridges trade, they actually got like 12 first-round picks or something like that. And I mean, of course, these are all like lower first-round picks, but it's the way Presti's been doing it. And now they're in a position where they can actually take on. I mean, they got Simmons that they got to get rid of and stuff, but they can take on some money in order to hit that apron. If they're going to tank for like a year or two here.
I will say for any Cavs fans in Columbus, I don't know if we have any on the thing, but Channing Frye will be in town this weekend doing a private wine tasting if you're looking to run into somebody.
That's pretty awesome. And Channing Frye is like one of my favorite Cavs from that team. I don't have his bobblehead back there for my championship team, and I really need to get it like as soon as possible. Just won some money. Donovan Cleon is going number 7 to Portland, by the way.
That's a drop off, right? Because he was projected top 3.
He was definitely projected like top 5.
That's a hell of a bet. Good for you, bro.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's $100 turning like $350, but I like Klingon a lot. I've long been a fan of. I can't remember who the assistant GM was. His name up there that came from us. What's his name?
Andre Patterson.
Andre Patterson. Thank you, Smooth. Portland, if they could just get a coach now, they could put a coach in place. So we see something up there.
I was really worried. Dan was going to try to go back to his Chauncey Billups affair and try to lure him out of Portland. That was my wild card left field. I was fearful of.
Like right up until the whole Atkinson news broke, I was kind of like, I went dark. I was just kind of like, I just kept F5 in thread and everything. Because when they announced, when we said in that thread that Atkinson was going to be the guy, and then a couple of days later, it was like, all right, it really kind of scared me a little bit there.
So I know I put it in the one of the other forums, but one of our guys in the media, he didn't confirm it, but he was saying he's pretty confident. He said the whole reason why the Atkinson news broke when it did is because Woj was trying to one up Shams.
Yeah.
So Shams had put out that article with Lloyd, basically saying they're close to their targeting, and apparently Woj saw that, called the Cavs up direct, said, "Are you guys doing this?" They said, "Yeah." He said, "Okay, I'm going to break it." And they said, "Go for it," and he broke it. So after the whole Hurley thing, he was butthurt about how that went down, and Hurley using each other to get an extension, and Woj went ahead and nuked him because of that. And I guess Kenny didn't expect it to break like it did, but Woj said, "I don't care. I got stats to put up."
He was losing a little bit because Shams went on Pat McAfee, and he kind of was like, "Look, I told y'all a couple weeks ago that this was so the fact that my competition did this, and Pat McAfee show, they don't hold back, so they kind of was like gassing him up, like, at a baby, like you really kind of, you're killing Woj right now." So I figured Woj was going to try to get him back on draft night or around draft time.
That's like a Crip going into the blood territory, doing a Crip walk, going on your network show, saying you guys full of it.
Come on, Smooth. You're way too white for that joke. Too white and too pretty.
Hey, don't let it fool you. I play AAU basketball from kindergarten up, so I got love in the streets.
Smooth invited to the barbecue, Ron. I've told him on a couple of our calls that we've done some brainstorming for all of our RCF media. So that's funny.
I got you. I'm bringing the potato salad.
We this past week with the whole Kendrick Lamar pop out thing. I don't know if you guys are keyed in on that and everything. I've been riding a high because it's like with where hip hop and everything is at. Like I did not expect this to happen. Like it's such a microwave culture right now. So I've been really appreciating that. And I already personally I hate Drake. So the fact that this played out the way it did, like I'm loving hip hop right now. So
you know what's funny about that was the funniest thing about that whole thing to me was Kendrick performing Not Like Us 5 times in a row, and the crowd knew they knew the song like better than he did. They knew he opened up with Euphoria, so he opened up with the Drake diss that the crowd knew the words better than he did. And
it was
then he did not like us 5 times. That is in the crowd just saying the things that they were saying was the most hilarious thing I think I've seen in a while.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. I mean, he like for all the different gangs and all the different affiliations and stuff in LA and across the entire state, for them to all coalesce around him like that was pretty awesome. So, all right, we're humming along in this draft night. I'm keeping an eye on RCF over here. This is prototypical for Kobe Altman draft night. And so, Smooth, you weren't with us that Tari Eason night. But by this point in time, we started taking shots because it became obvious pretty quickly that, and Sebastian, you can co-sign on this. It was like, all right, we're willing to be patient, but we started seeing Presti moving around the board, and we started getting pissed. Around pick 8, 9, we were like, all right, wait a minute. If OKC can, I think they jumped up to 10, and then they jumped up from 14 to 12 and came out with Usman Dieng and, of course, Jalen Williams.
Smooth beating up that keyboard, bro.
Man, I'm here to tell you. By this point in time of that draft night, we were all taking shots. So I want to let you guys know real quick. I have this Eric Church Jack Daniels single barrel rye, and it's got all kinds of dust and stuff on it because I've had it for like 3 years. And so, Smooth, what I was telling everybody is I'm okay coming out of this draft night with our core 4 intact potentially and just adding that 3D guy. What I'm not okay with is either Garland or Allen being traded for pennies on the dollar. So if something crazy happens where they're like, oh no, this is the start of this, and Donovan wants this to happen or whatever like that, I'm gonna be cracking that thing open, and it's gonna turn into a real rubber rim job party here pretty soon. So we'll stay tuned here. Go ahead, Rob.
I'm coming to Tennessee.
And it's nothing special. It's at the time when I got this during the pandemic, and so it was like 2000. And at the time, everybody was like, "Oh, this is going to be a collector's thing." I think I paid $200 for this, but now I think you can get it for like $60 or $70. So it's nothing. I've left it there and was like, I'm gonna use it for something when it matters. I still have a couple of your whiskeys that you got me, Ron, that are sitting out there on my bar too.
All right, check your phone. I don't have any way to. I don't know how to share to this video chat, but if you want to share those images, you're more than happy to. So we were talking about Vlade Divac and.
Oh yeah, that's pretty. Peja Stojakovic.
Pedro. So, yeah.
Even when I met you, you were like 100 pounds smaller than
no, I've lost some weight since that picture. That was like before we traded Kevin Love. So
that's pretty cool.
But yeah,
I don't know how to get him in here.
I'm literally at Pedro's like belly button. That's crazy. I will post him on RCF, but I don't have anything to hide. So
yeah, I don't know how to bring pictures and stuff in here and share it. I could do a screen share for sure.
I'll put him in the RCF. I'll put him.
Where's Vlade Divac at right now, Ron? By the way,
he got fired, and I think he's just living his best life, man.
Dillingham to the Spurs, by the way, really quickly.
Are you looking at our future draft picks, number 4, number 8?
Yeah, I don't think from what I'm looking at here, we talked about Castle a little bit earlier when they took him 4th, Smooth, before he jumped in here. I can't get a read on what San Antonio might be doing here.
Collecting talent.
I mean, they are in the very beginning stages of this deal, so they might potentially just be taking swings at it.
Yeah, I think they're officially out on Jeremy Sohan as a point guard. I think it's safe to say that.
Yeah, I think that experiment might be over by now. Really quickly, I'm going to answer Raptors here. What's an example of a return you'd be okay with for Broadway? Um,
10 first-round picks.
the right kind of 3D guy and a future draft pick. Like when I'm saying the right kind of 3D guy, like it doesn't have to be. I read somewhere somebody was like it has to be like a borderline all-star. I'm not saying that. We will need shot creation, and I don't feel comfortable going into next season with Donovan Mitchell as like our primary creator. Despite what everybody else is saying, I don't feel comfortable with that. Give me a minute. I got to think about that because I've been so dead set on like if we're gonna sell him for pennies on the dollar, I'm not cool with that trade anyway. I did see some proposals on the board. I think one came from Smooth where it was you guys were talking about you'd be okay with keeping Allen and Mobley if we split the guards up. I don't necessarily agree with that. I will say that. But there's a lot of nuance to what I would be happy with coming back for Garland. To answer your question, Raptors.
I think if Garland's outgoing, whether it's in that deal or another deal indirectly, you have to have the archetype of a shot creator, volume scorer.
I agree.
Trying to get pieces on the dollar for him and trying to do 3-and-D and trying to recreate that streak. May get some more regular season wins, but you're not winning at a high level in the playoffs with guys who can't create their shot.
And I can't stress enough, and I know I keep coming back to this. It seems like a cop-out. There was so much lack of imagination in JV's, like what he was doing on that end of the floor, that I felt like it created a vacuum where you were going to have guys that were just not happy on the offensive side of the ball. So, and Jig can attest to this. When I went to that game in OKC, like the 4th or 5th game of the year, and I saw both Garland and Mitchell throwing bitch fits at each other early in the season. You know what I'm saying? Like they already were really frustrated. Like, are you going to do this or am I going to do this? And neither of them looked like they felt comfortable playing that way. Edey to Memphis at number 9. Even before the injury with the jaw injury or anything, like when Mitchell started taking time off because of his he didn't like the way he was being overplayed and everything like that. I saw that those two were not super happy with how they were being used and not optimized on the offensive side of the ball. Coaching plays a part in that. So I'm not one who believes that they just could not fit or play with each other depending on what else we're doing on the floor.
I think the question is how much does Mitchell want him back or not want him back?
You want to hear something? You want to hear a hot take from Rich right now?
Go for it.
I personally don't give a damn. Like when it comes to so Donovan Mitchell is dope, right? But I don't believe he's that level of talent where we should necessarily be like, let's adjust this all the way. Especially when there's a good chance that he might, this might be a 2+1 or 3+1. I think I read. I think it's 2+1. This might be something of a shotgun extension. What we just saw with Mikal Bridges, where he went to Brooklyn and said, "I only want to go to this team, like that's where I want to go." Guys are positioned to try to start doing that more. If in 6 months, Donovan Mitchell is like, you know what, I'm not happy with the way this is starting out. I would like to go to Miami, get whatever you can for me, kind of thing, or something like that. I'll be really pissed if we traded Darius Garland because he wouldn't fit with him when the dude didn't intend on being there long term. But we can't say that, today.
That's why I think you can only celebrate the extension so much because in today's day and age, more than ever, players are reevaluating where they're at on an annual basis, just like teams are evaluating the players on an annual basis.
Yes, sir.
You sign that 3+1, that just means that gets you your money. It doesn't mean that person signed your paychecks to that same person every year. But we saw this with LeBron. Lakers going through it now. How much do you balance win now for your star player with sustainability for your organization? Because those are two different timelines. So far, the Cavs haven't really bought into that all the way. They've tried to build sustainably, but is that going to get you where you want to go with Mitchell quick enough? It's a tough balance.
Yeah.
Memphis
Yeah.
just took Zach Edey ninth.
Thank you, Brew, for that. Which is
I'm
really, really, really high for Zach Edey. Wow.
I'm with Dan. Had him like I think top 3, top 5.
He did. Why?
Wait, if I'm with Dan, dude, from I think did he go to Purdue or
His models just really like this production, and he's a big Memphis fan. He really appreciates Memphis's analytical viewpoint of prospects. So the fact that this went to Memphis and the fact that Dan had him so high is the match made in heaven. I actually heard a good comp. Gavoni was talking, and he said Edey is like Jonas Valanciunas with a similar jumper. So if you like Jonas Valanciunas, Edey is a similar type player.
He's going to be such a liability on that defensive side of the ball. And I'm talking like this is coming from a guy who, I love college basketball. I was locked in. I was like at the next level. He's not. What was that kid's name that came out of Iowa? He's not Luka Garcic. He's more talented than that. But the game is just not there for him on the defensive side of the ball. Like you absolutely have to run your offense through him to justify him being on the floor because of what they're going to do to him on the other side. Like, and that's what UConn did to him in that championship game. Like they didn't play him off the floor because they were like, we're going to run this through him, and he punished them on the offensive side. But whose offense is going to do that today? Like we're just going to keep dumping it into Edey because you're going to abuse him on the other side. So. I haven't seen I'm with Dan's stats on that, but man, wow. that's tough.
Are we seeing a Dillingham deal? Timberwolves trading a 2031 unprotected first and a protected pick swap so they traded 2031 and 2030 for 8.
That's crazy. There's some weird movement that's going around here. Donovan is.
So I think you can take Minnesota out of that Garland discussion. Everyone was hoping for Cat. I mean, that pretty much I think seals that.
But thank you, because I don't know how y'all feel, but I cannot stand Karl Anthony Towns. I cannot stand watching him play. Like throughout their whole playoff run, I was so irritated watching him. I was just like, man, and I get it, like at his size, the way he can be versatile and everything like that. But man, he shrinks, and he's just not dependable. So
I just remember.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I just remember the game where Cat dropped like 65 or whatever it was, and they lost.
Yeah, that was funny. Even during the All-Star game, while I was watching him, I was just like, it's empty calorie scoring, like what he does. Like, but when he had one game against us, and I think it was the game where Garland won us the game, if I'm not mistaken. Where Cat was going ham and going off and everything. Yep. There's something about him that I just don't trust, and I don't want anything to do with it. So that makes me happy that they're.
Smoothie being brutal to the local Cav media on Twitter. I saw that.
No, that was Ben. Ben dropped his ether on Fedor.
Ooh, that was rough.
Which is funny. We're blocked by Fedor on Twitter, and then just this week I earned a block from Jonathan Gavoni, unbeknownst to me.
What did you do to Jonathan Gavoni?
I tweeted out. I said, "Has there been a bigger drop off from Gavoni or Josh Express and going to ESPN?" I said, "Their scouting reports are like they're on a character limit." I didn't even tag him, so he was searching for his name, found us, and blocked us. That's where he's at.
The Cleveland media, they're so sensitive. It's just insane. Like professional media guys, and they're blocking people on Twitter that disagree with their shit takes and outright team fed propaganda. Like
real Cavs fans out here choosing violence.
We don't hold back.
some of the vets for RCF, we out here, we're like a gang. I think I posted that on the board before.
So like 8 years ago, this is a true story. You can ask Ben about this. Like 8 years ago, I I sent Dan an email about some bullshit, and a day later, RCF got a buyout offer from the Cavaliers about buying the forums out. Ask Ben about that. Sebastian, you can ask him about that. It was funny because
I will.
we had a conversation. I still have that conversation in my inbox about it. I'm like, hey, did Dan reach out to you about buying RCF? He's like, matter of fact, they did. It was funny.
Yo, we got X in here. Just not join the party. What's up, X?
High, not drunk.
We got human Q-tip for the first time in rubber rim job history. Human Q-tip is in the party.
I'm old. The technology gives me a hard time.
Shout out. So right now, active on here, we got Dr. Claw with the baritone. We got Ron G. We got Sebastian. We got Two for the Brew. We got Foucault. We got Smooth right here. We got X sparking up. And we got Q-tip for the first time. So shout out to the team.
It's an all-star lineup.
Got an all-star lineup here. This is like a top 9 playoff rotation that's on the screen right now.
Who's Georges Niang and who's Dean Wade?
I just didn't want to dox myself like someone else did here. So it took me a while to figure out how to do that.
Shout out to Brew on that.
Yeah, I doxed myself. That was pretty bad. Hey, we were speaking about annoying NBA players and Frenchmen and who started the whole France thing. How did we miss Joakim Noah?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that
Joakim
guy,
Noah was pretty
he
intense.
was the most hated NBA player in Cleveland that won Chicago series.
There's something weird, Brew, and I you guys correct me if I'm wrong. When a international player plays college ball stateside, they lose that international title for me. Like when I think of Joakim Noah, I think of Florida, and I think of beating Ohio State, beating Greg Oden and Mike Conley and all those guys in the championship. So there's just something weird there. Like, and there's been quite a few international players that came over here. Like Lauri Markkanen played at Arizona, and I don't think of him as like a finished player. You know what I'm saying? Like as soon as they cross that threshold and they play over here, Olynyk. Somebody just Raptors just mentioned Olynyk. He played at Gonzaga, and it's like for me because I'm so tied into college ball. Once they come over, I lose that. So I don't know how to break that in my mind. I need to, but
how about Jokic?
He didn't play stateside. I don't think.
Stateside now.
Well, yeah, I mean he's dominating, but he didn't play like for a college, for like a major.
What about Marc Gasol, who played high school here but went professional in Europe?
I think of Marc Gasol as a Spanish player, and I think it might be the Olympics. I'm not sure. Good question though. Like he did. He was here in Memphis. He was totally fat. I was down there because I was dating somebody in Memphis at the time, and I was watching their AAU teams and stuff. And I just remember them saying, like, this dude is about to go pro. That's Paul Gasol's little brother. And I was like, man, it's just like a little fat dude. He totally remade his body by the time he got to the pro. It was kind of crazy to see.
Is her name Glorilla?
Right? The person I was dating?
It's a female Memphis rapper.
Yeah, if you guys don't know. Glorilla's starting to grow on me a little bit, Smooth. I don't know what's happening here. I usually don't look at these like little kids and stuff, but something about Glorilla is starting to appeal to Richfield.
The problem with Joakim Noah is that his sister was so much better than him. Yelena Noah.
She had some talent, right? Like by talent, I mean the visual.
She was top 10 talent.
Okay. Yeah, she had some lottery pick talent, if I'm not mistaken.
Noah, that when he said that was the series that LeBron broke the Bulls of being a contending team for the next half decade, right? Like that jumped. That was game 2 or 3. He hits that shot, and then the Bulls never recovered from that shot for years and years. So Noah's big mouth was very ill-timed.
I definitely appreciate it. I was, if you just joined the thread or you just joined the show, I was telling everybody there is a documentary for Tony Parker on, I think it's on Amazon or it's on some streaming sites, and it covers the way he, is like the French, like LeBron James. Like he inspired a whole next generation of kids to pick up the ball, and so that's what we're seeing right here. Probably, that's 20 years ago or so, or 15, 15 to 20 years ago when Tony Parker mania took over France. So with 5 kids, 4 kids in the lottery or so, these are all Tony Parker children. Kind of the same way we saw Steve Nash kids, like almost 10 years ago, breaking through with all the Canadian kids. So.
Interesting Knight falling outside the top 10. And Buzelis, I think those are 2 guys that.
I think Buzelis just went, if I'm not mistaken.
Did he? Chicago?
Yes. Number 11.
That makes sense with their GM.
Yeah.
Well, Eddie going so early is going to definitely screw everything up for what we were forecasting, right?
I like that a lot, Ron. That means somebody that we shouldn't have seen fall to 20 should be. Like that Edie pick is kind of weird to me. But
Cody Williams as well, right? That's 2 picks in a row that just mess with the whole lottery.
I personally like Cody Williams. I know he was 3rd or 4th in the pecking order at Colorado, but I actually really like his game. I don't think he really had the opportunity to show if he could shoot the ball.
Yeah, and the Bulls pick is in.
Buzelis just went, is what we were talking about.
Buzelis, yep. Run on the small
I like Cody Williams. I think Cody Williams has a chance to grow into his body a little bit more. If I'm not mistaken, he might still be 18, if I'm not mistaken.
Man, I think Buzelis and Giddey might be hitting some Chicago bars together with how young Buzelis is.
There was a quote.
Maybe high schools.
Yeah. There was a quote that, oh man, y'all just brought back some R. Kelly talk. There was a quote that came out today from Giddey where he was trying to basically say, I don't feel comfortable as a reserve or without the ball in my hands. So let me say that now as I'm heading to Chicago.
A Lithuanian GM taking the only Lithuanian player in the thing. Rich, I hope you had props on. I hope you had props on that or odds of some sort.
I should have placed that bet. I did not. I just saw your tweet just now about the Garland to Minnesota stuff.
Man,
I did not. Yeah. So what they're doing with these the bets and stuff, they're 3 or 4 picks ahead. They're locking them down because they see that Shams is starting to spoil everything.
Yeah, on that Giddey going to Chicago topic, in one of my group chats, I had posted the Touré and R. Kelly interview, or at least an excerpt of it, and saying that's going to be the first press conference for Josh Giddey when he goes to the Bulls. It's going to go down just like that. If you're familiar with the Touré R. Kelly interview.
I'm sorry, Claw. I was bringing in some of these. These people are representing over in the chat side of things, and you've got to manually go over and make sure that they get published and stuff. So I was trying to make sure Q-Tip has got some jokes over here. How do y'all feel about Lonzo Ball? What?
He's done.
He's pretty much done. We can pretty much wrap it up. He's made of tissue paper kind of thing.
Well, you talk about Lonzo Ball, then there was a story that John Wall wants to come back. So Wall, do either of them have any health left at all?
John Ball's got more than any of the Ball family members, so.
Yeah, I saw John Wall said he was like, I'll carry bags. I don't care. I just want to get back into the league. It's kind of tragic what happened with that. I think he got done in by that Supermax contract more than anything. Like uh, I don't know what happened with him in Houston where he ended up getting cut. Like I think he was not willing to do certain things or whatever.
He was
But
bad for Houston, bro.
yeah.
Bad.
Nikola Topic, OKC at number 12. And we're talking about a 6'6", 200-pound Serbian point guard. So they basically just replaced Giddey with the 12th pick just now.
So, Rich, fun fact. One of John Wall's classes in his second semester, his instructor in the class was my daughter.
His second semester, John Wall went to...
he went to Kentucky.
Kentucky, that's right.
Yeah, it was a psych class.
That's pretty cool. Oh, that's right, because John Wall used to do the little John Wall dance thing that entire year. John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, and all those guys.
Yeah, I remember when he came out, he was highly touted, and then the next year they said, well, there's nobody in this class anywhere near as good as John Wall, and 2011 was going to be a bad draft class. And that turned out not to be the case at all. So You never know, right? Some of these guys were looking at them and you say, wow, maybe they're not this or they're not that. And then you find they're, third team all NBA in 5-6 years.
Yeah. Is she a Kentucky alum or was she just like part of her
at the
academic
time she
journey?
was a doctoral candidate.
Okay. Pretty awesome. My ex-wife is in psych. She's only teaching grad level students and stuff. So I can appreciate that. That year for Kentucky, it was John Wall, Eric Bledsoe, DeMarcus Cousins. There was another pro. I want to say the first guy off the bench, the big guy that went to New Orleans. I can't remember his name right now.
Was it Terrence Jones? Was he still there then?
I think Terrence Jones might have been on that team. Was that Foucault that just said that?
Yeah.
I think Terrence Jones was on that team. He went to Houston. Something was wrong with that kid in his head. I can't remember what was wrong.
He was real great in 2K. I remember
that. Terrence Jones, if he was playing right now, like being drafted and stuff, he'd be in demand. He was ahead of his time. He could space the floor at like 6'8", 6'9", but he also had like a little bit of Earl Clark to him, where he would just check out on you. So
Terrence Jones or Perry Jones?
That's
played.
dirty.
I gotta give him a. And whoever says anything about the legend Anthony Randolph on this is going to get muted too. I don't remember. I've been taking some totally unwarranted shots about Anthony Randolph. I want to say Rafters has brought back some heat. X has brought back some heat for Anthony Randolph.
I still believe.
Yeah.
I still believe Anthony Randolph.
X? He looks hella faded. Yeah, no, X is here. I think he turned his camera off because he was sparking up over there.
So,
right.
Rich,
Perry Jones should have been better. I think Perry Jones went to the wrong team, but
I agree with that. Thank you for that, Ron. Go ahead, Brew. What you got?
Yeah, as saying, I just saw Richard Jefferson. He's one of the guys on ESPN, and I don't know if anybody noticed, but there were several times when he was doing the Cavalier games, he was making a point of overly praising JBB on the ATO plays. Like there would be an ATO play, he'd talk about what a brilliant play it was, and he had to be trolling. He had to be. But it was pretty funny because I bet there weren't many people watching that picked up on that. We would, but
can we give Richard Jefferson might be one of my favorite basketball media personalities right now. I don't know if you guys have seen this or not, but if you haven't seen the Richard Jefferson Tim Duncan little short that he created, that thing is hilarious because Tim Duncan is so dry and it's just dry wit humor. And Richard Jefferson, because they have that relationship from playing together, if you get a chance, go look up Richard Jefferson and Tim Duncan. That thing was really, really fun. But Richard Jefferson might be one of the funniest people in basketball media for me right now. And anytime I see him, I feel like because he's so smart that he's a step ahead. So there's no doubt, Brew, that if he was giving JBB credit for ATOs, it was totally unwarranted, and he was making a point. To co-sign that for you.
So I'm trying to figure out, is Isaac Okoro worth Stephen A. Smith money? Because Stephen A. is supposed to get $18 million.
I don't even. I've never met anybody that enjoys listening to Stephen A. Smith. I'm impressed that he still has a job.
Yeah, he irritates me, and I usually flip off whatever Stephen A. Smith is doing. So. Somebody said Okoro was worth 5 for 40.
Do the math. What's the AAV on that?
That would be. Is that 8?
That's
that'd be great. That'd be happy.
I'm pretty sure that's 8.
Eight. That's like what Dean Wade would make, right?
Can we sign him up as a GM? Because I'm not disagreeing with that.
No.
I would be happy. I don't want to just throw away Okoro, but I'm not happy with anything over like 14. Like his money, if he's at like Levert money and Levert's gone. But to be perfectly honest with you guys, I'm okay with getting out of the Okoro business. I know Brew doesn't want to hear that. If he can go out and shop and find anything above 14 to 16, I'm okay. So.
Good luck to him.
Can they pay Okoro on a game by game basis? Like, they can pay him well in the games where he's not a total catastrophe on offense, or where they're not playing 4-on-5. So that's like maybe 30-40% of the time.
I want to say this, Sebastian. I distinctly remember watching Rondé Hollis Jefferson look like an actual pro player under Kenny Atkinson. So there were a couple of guys that Atkinson made look like, if Okoro was anything like DeMarre Carroll, every time Kenny Atkinson got his hands on DeMarre Carroll, he made him look like a perfect 3-and-D guy. Like there were some comparisons between DeMarre Carroll and like Bruce Bowen because of Kenny Atkinson. So if anybody can do some Okoro whispering and actually get him to produce at a level that you're like, I don't mind him being the 5th guy on the floor, I think it's Kenny Atkinson.
I want to throw out some RHJ love for anyone that's gotten a chance to watch him in international ball recently. He's been killing it for, I think he's playing for Jordan, but he's been real good in the Asia Cup and FIBA last year. He's like a legit primary scoring option and still great on defense. So
I watched him last year. He looked like Michael goddamn Jordan is what he looked like.
It's wild. I never thought that would happen.
I probably Smooth. You're laughing. I'm dead serious.
Well, no. I mean, people were saying he looked like Kobe, like especially I think when he was in his Asian. He had the haircut. He had the stroke. He had everything. People were making fun of him.
Like he had like a form on his release where I was like, them kids over there in Jordan are wearing these RHJs like right now. Like I promise you. So good call, Foucault. I distinctly remember watching him, and I was like, what the hell happened with this guy? Like, and why does he look like he's like a legit number 1 option right now? The closest comparison was late career Quintel Woods, when everybody was like, wait a minute, this guy could come over and he could actually be like a compliment for like Bron. Y'all remember that? Everybody kept saying Quintel Woods. That's what RHJ is looking like over across the pond right now.
So we have like 6 picks before the Cavs either pick or trade or pick somebody to trade. I really want to hear, Richfield. You gotta tell us, bro. Atkins. I know you're a huge Kenny fan, so tell us why.
Why I'm a huge Atkinson fan?
Yep.
Oh, I just gave you a little synopsis of that. Like, so the guy does not sleep. And that's nothing to be super proud about. Devin Carter to the Kings, by the way. for what I've seen, like as a basketball lifer, there's certain coaches that you're like, man, this dude is going to like not sleep to make sure that he's making the game easier for his guys to play. And that's what I saw in that very first year with Atkinson, and then that second year, and it was like back-to-back years where I saw I think he made Brooke Lopez an All-Star that first year, and then he made DeAndre Russell an All-Star that next year, and then the people around him, like whatever he had his hands on. That first year, he had like his guards were like Jeremy Lin, Sean, some like just legit throwaway guys. This dude from, I can't remember his name. He's from Memphis, Sean something, where he did not look like a legit NBA player, but he made it through the entire season. He had the ghost of Randy Foye, and he was like building offensive sets to get these dudes open shots, and he was usually getting them open shots. Not only was he getting them open shots, but then he had them bought in and playing like they were a part of something. And so you heard Jared Allen talk about that on the JJ Redick interview that he did. By the time he got to like year 3 or so, he had built up a reputation with these players, like he was going to make the game easier for them. It just took a very unique combination of off the wall Kyrie and Kevin Durant, to totally undermine what he was trying to build. So for me, I look at him in a very similar vein as Budenholzer. If you remember, he came up with Budenholzer. He was like his lead assistant in Atlanta, and they were like locked in. I think I read an interview where Budenholzer was like, this dude watches way more video than me. Like if he was the head coach, I would, and I want to say Atkinson might be like a year older than Budenholzer. But I've been a fan of his even before Brooklyn fired him. I was like, that's the kind of coach. They do a lot of fun shit. Like they were doing like the little flashcards and stuff for their play calling and everything. He's a coach that does everything in his power to make the game easier for his players. So I know the stats don't look all that great. Those teams, similar to what Brown was doing in Philadelphia when they were tanking and just trying to acquire talent, that's kind of what Brooklyn was doing. They had 2 or 3 years there where they didn't have any of their draft picks. And so they were just supposed to be, just kind of like sifting through the garbage, seeing if they had any viable NBA players. And he improved that team every year to where they were literally a playoff team with the only talent they had was a throwaway D'Angelo Russell from the Lakers. I think he's an awesome coach, honestly. So I know I gave you a long, drawn-out answer. But it's something you can see, and it's like this dude knows how to coach the game. You could tell he played the game, and he knows how to coach the game to make it easier for players. And it's not even like let's get in there and break down every single diagram of every single play. At a head coaching level, when you know that the coach knows how to control tempo and pace with his rotations and his play calling, then you're like, this is a good coach. It's like a Rick Carlisle kind of thing that I attribute to him. So
I think it's important too, kind of where the Cavs are at. I think if you put Atkinson in this team maybe a couple of years ago without their tribulations and not understanding what they needed to get to the next level, how receptive are they to that coaching?
Right.
Just like any relationship is right person, right time, or more the timing than the person. I think they're at a point where they're probably going to be more receptive to that type of coaching after what they just had with JB, not maybe having that good relationship. Well, I guess maybe not based off stuff we heard, but, not picking up coaching wise. I think they're really going to be craving that. But I think it was interesting too. Zach Lowe on his podcast was saying Atkinson kind of had to learn how to chill in Golden State.
A little bit.
Like it said, it's the Steve Kerr school of, take it easy. You can play music at practice. You don't have to be watching film every single time. So certainly be interesting to see kind of what he's learned from that tenure and how he carries it over here.
I agree with that 100%.
I mean, it's interesting hearing Smooth say that because Smooth was the one that posted correct me if I'm wrong, Smooth, but you posted all the data between him and the guy from New Orleans.
Borrego.
Right?
Borrego.
Where the conclusion I draw walking away from that conversation was Borrego was actually the better coach with what he had to work with. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was apples to apples between the two of those. Bub Carrington, who everybody was whispering about, just went to Portland at 14, by the way.
But that pick is going to Washington in the of the trade.
Good call. Yep, accurate. 14th pick. Yep. So he's going to Washington. All right, we're getting close here, brothers. We're talking about the next 4 picks, and the Cavs are on the board. So
I'll be dropping out. I'll be posting the chat, but please someone take my space and do a better job of it than I did.
we just saw X. We saw a little Miss X just came in and gave everybody a shout out. So tell her I said what's up, X.
Yep. Yeah, both of them decided to, oh, Dad, is that the video that you're supposed to get drunk on? No. No more drinking. No more of that shit. I gotta work.
I saw a
Hey, yo.
behind you, too.
Hey, yo, low key though. Smooth has been kind of killing it with the what's the word I want to use? The RCF ambassadorship. He was
Yeah,
on.
no, he is. He's
He was
representing.
on. He was on Fear the Fro pod. And I know I sound like what I do, but Bob and I are very similar people when it comes to this kind of content. And I like what he has to say. Smooth had a really good showing on that. I think he's been somewhere else. The other day he was on. I mentioned he was on Twitter Spaces, talking about all things Cavs, mostly the Atkinson hiring. And I was really looking to see what Rubber Rim Job was going to say about it because Rich, I knew that you were one of the quiet champions of Atkinson when the candidates came out, or at least you tried to push people to consider, what he brought to the table, despite the way things ended in Brooklyn and the whole Charlotte thing.
Right.
I'm happy with it. I mean, I was leaning Borrego, but I'm very happy with him because he has imagination, as you said, taking the words out of my mouth again, on offense. If you look, there's a thread showing some of his sets that he used with Brooklyn. And did you see where Jared Allen is placed in that offense? JBB never did that.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what
he was doing. Like I was just like, yeah, this is the guy I want for the Cavs right now. He's gonna make some players that some of us were kind of down on at least attempt to make them look more, go to their strengths that they do have. And I'm really optimistic to see how that's going to turn out. This needed to happen. I was an Atkinson guy a couple seasons ago, so I'm kind of glad that he's with the Cavs now.
So really quickly, shout out to MD13, who's usually on these posts, on these threads and stuff. He posted a tweet where they put all of the play calls and stuff from Atkinson's Brooklyn tenure. Shout out to him first and foremost, and then secondly, shout out to Nate Dagg, who just joined us for the first time. I don't know. Can you say something, Nate, so we know that we can hear you?
Yes.
Shout out to Nate Dagg. If you're on the board,
What's up?
Nate is representing.
Trying to get this set up so I can multitask, but that's not really going to work because I can't talk that way. I'm probably just going to stay and drop by and let someone else come up. What's up, everybody?
What's up, Nate Dagg?
Hey, what's your snap reaction on the Denny, whose last name I thought was Avija, but apparently it's like Avia.
Abia. I like them. Portland is a place where he may get the ball in his hand, so that's really what's up, little Nate Dagg.
Yep,
that's one of the Nate Dagg kids. So during the first season of Rubber Rim Job, they were calling up and they were doing these little jokes and stuff. I can't remember. Taco Fall is one of the jokes they did. So shout out to little Nate, to one of the Nate Dagg kids.
Yeah, we got really into Rubio during that COVID year.
Yep.
We were yelling out, like opening the windows and the doors and yelling outside, Rubio, just like all in the neighborhood.
Yeah, one game with Rubio, he
Hold on, Miles. Let me see if I can
we can hear him.
Yeah, no, we can totally hear him. Did you
Oh,
say
you
his
can
name
hear
is
him.
Mouse?
All right, great. Oh yeah, it's coming through my phone. This stupid thing. Yeah. Okay, cool.
You know,
What's up, Mouse? You're on with the rubber rim job, brother.
Celtics that they all scored in a quarter. He scored more points in one quarter.
I thought that was Drippy. That was Drippy.
Yeah, that was Drippy Dean last year. Drippy
Yeah.
Dean was balling.
And then his favorite game, Miles' favorite game, was the Max Struess just lighting it up. Yeah, crazy. And his
How old are you, Miles? Miles or Mouse?
7.
Miles.
Miles,
7.
when I was 7, I fell in love with the Cavs around that time. So you're in really good company, my brother. You got it honest. You picked the right team and the right fan base. So welcome to the club, man.
And he's a dog out there too. He's a very aggressive player, you know. So we like aggressive.
I'm gonna add. What is Raptors over here taking shots at me?
I gotta figure out what to do with this. I can't hold it like.
Shout out Nate Dag. Welcome to you, my brother.
Yeah, so Snap, what's your Denny Avdija trade, whatever, I can't say his last name, like what's the trade synopsis on just like Snap judgment?
I like him going to Portland. I wish he was coming here.
I know.
I really like Denny Avdija. Really quickly, and I didn't think about this, so thank you, A to Z. Dalton Connect is still on the board right now. And of course, the fact that we're saying this, he's going to get taken like in the 19th pick. But there was a world where I definitely thought Dalton Connect was going to be a top 10 pick. So it's kind of crazy that he's still on the board right now. I definitely didn't think Zach Edey would go before Dalton Connect. So
now there's some really good floor stretchers at center and power forward that are still available. Yeah. So,
but I'm talking about that kid is he's a game-changing scoring talent. Like, to me, he very much is like the white Allen Houston coming out of Tennessee. So if you guys didn't get a chance to see Dalton Connect in this past tournament, the dude can score. So the Raptors said if we want him, Dalton Connect, OKC is going to trade up to 19 and take him right before.
That's about right.
Damn, Sam Presti. Like,
and he should not be on the board still. So.
Like the fact that they have number 12 in this draft, I know this draft, but still, the fact that they have number 12, a lottery pick, being the number 1 seed in the Western Conference is BS. Sam Presti, dog.
Yeah, no, it's that is an embarrassment of riches that are for OKC.
You got to kind of feel like the big three, like the response for the salary cap changes were like kind of anti-super team. And now you have teams like the Knicks. Obviously, they just broke the bank and they broke the draft capital bank. But like that model where you have 7 or 8 deep, I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there, but it seems like that might be like, I don't think our big four is a massive four, but right. I think with like, you got having 7 or 8 deep who are kind of out there to play hard, versus you look at the Suns, for example, as that team that is kind of hollowed out, you know, and do they really have a chance at winning the whole thing? You know, not as constructed would be like my snap judgment, but I don't watch as much basketball as you guys do.
Yeah, no, there's without a doubt, Phoenix is going to make moves this summer. I know that they're like literally capped out, so they're going to have to.
Well, yeah. So what kind of moves can they make if you're hollowed out of what you can trade that's useful, and your picks are never going to be that high? Like, do they have someone else's picks or?
There's whisper. Two things. One, Kel'el Ware just went, and everybody. I'm seeing 3 or 4 posts in here, so people were really holding out hope that he was going to make it to 20.
No way.
Where
no way he's going to make it to 20.
I have a fear that we're going to have a run over the next 3 picks of guys who I like Ware, Filipowski, Deron Holmes, and Dalton Connect. 17, 18, 19. Watch those 3 names. Those names I just call out.
No. This is one of those things where you think it's one way and like you're just like worried about it and you have every right to worry, but it's just gonna play out in some weird way.
But to answer your question, Kevin Durant is not Kevin Durant anymore. I don't know if he was high the entire season last year in Phoenix. I watched some games where I was like, does he even care if he's playing basketball right now? He was totally unengaged. They went through an entire fourth quarter where he didn't even take a shot, and the game was in the balance. And I was just like, what the hell is Kevin Durant doing?
Right, like he should have just like called off whatever play they had and just kind of tried. Like,
well, I mean, if he cared to even win, he would have. But like, and I'm not even joking when I say this. I was watching a Kevin Durant who looked apathetic, like he didn't even care if they won or not.
Well,
and it was a competitive game. So if they did something like turn Kevin Durant into a bunch of young pieces, like the Houston thing that's been rumored, that would be one of the ways. So some of the names that we have been rumored are still on this board. So Furphy from Kansas, Filipowski from Duke. There's a lot of names. So like with us seeing a couple guys jump up a little bit higher than they should have, I don't feel bad about number 20 coming up here, guys.
Yeah, so far so decent, right? I mean, the fan in me, I don't follow this stuff, but it looks like some of the names that get floated around are still there. And then the other part of me says if we can get rotational bigs that are super quality, a la keeping Allen and then having Mobley and then having another guy who kind of like, you know, as a rookie, meh. But then, you know, as a premium gets put on wings, do you have a world in which like the ambiguous like guard wing, not the big wing, but the small wing gets devalued enough where you can trade for them? You know what I mean? Like, like zigging when they're zagging is always the way. And, you know, maybe there's a play to be made. I really don't want to get smaller though, so I can't really talk myself into it. But if you have like three awesome big men, kind of like Minnesota, like that style where three of them are super quality, then maybe you can, like they cover a lot. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just like not seeing it the right way, but I feel like guards are just kind of going to get disrespected. And when you look at the Knicks, like they're not huge in the backcourt, right? Like DiVincenzo 6'4", maybe. Brunson 6'2", 6'4".
The Knicks are doing this weird thing where they got a bunch of wings that are just in there. They're going to have like one big on the floor and they're going to have like a bunch of wings and then Brunson. So they're going to have three interchangeable wings at all times on the floor. Brunson and a big is what.
Right, but DiVincenzo, who had a fantastic, I mean, he looked so intense in the playoffs. I was so happy for him. He's like not tall. I mean, and Hart isn't a big wing, but he plays like a freaking dog. So, I mean, I guess maybe he is.
Yeah. I think I hear what you're saying. I think ideally what they'll probably do is DiVincenzo and Hart both will be like 6th and 7th man, which is scary to think of.
Yeah, it is.
For a rotation.
Are you kidding?
I see them starting Brunson, Bridges, OG, if Randall's still there, and then a big.
Right. When you say if Randall's still there, you kind of mean like, hey, they played pretty well.
Oh, did we lose Nate Day?
He just cut out for a second. I just don't think financially they can afford to keep him.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Maybe 1 year, but they have to round out the roster. Who's their backups? Point guard. Who's their backup shooting guard? I mean, the Knicks lost a lot on what they traded for too. Like,
yeah. Oh shit! So we're favored to take Connect right now. You can get Connect at plus 250, so he's going to be on the board for us at 20. And Furphy from Kansas is the next highest rated guy. Connect at 250, Furphy at 600, Daron Holmes at 650, and Tristan Da Silva at 700. So if you guys want to go in and cast your bet right now, yeah, Miles McBride. I do like Miles McBride. Deuce McBride is what they're talking about. I can't believe Dalton Connect is falling like this, guys. Like, I know every single year there's somebody that falls. I know he's older. I want to say he's 22 or so. When he got to Tennessee, he was a little bit older. But he's the guy sitting in the green room. So is 6'6" shooter, scorer, but truly knockdown scorer. How are you guys feeling about that? Has anybody seen him play for Tennessee, Dalton Connect? All right.
Nope.
He's the Cam Whitmore of 2024. I would agree with that. Where Cam Whitmore,
that's a good one.
Yeah, no, good call. By the time he hit the floor for Houston in the summer league, even he had that team in the summer league championship against us, and I was like, holy shit. Dalton Connect is a mix between Kyle Korver and Allen. I keep coming back to Allen Houston because he's a scorer. He's not just a shooter, and I can't stress that enough. Like he could his rookie year he could easily have 12 to 14 points per game because he is like a unrepentant scorer is what he is.
So I keep seeing these people on our forums talking about Mitchell taking over point guard responsibilities full time and bringing in somebody bigger. Can Mitchell be the full-time point guard?
Yeah, I don't want to have that.
I
personally don't think so, Ron. I don't think that's optimal, but
I'm with you. I just want to hear some of these people that keep talking about it explain it because I get the take from a popularity standpoint, but I just don't see him being a full-time point guard.
Yeah, I struggle with that myself. Man, this is crazy. I think everybody's going dark because the Cavs are literally on the board. Depending on where you are and where your feed is at.
Jared McCain just went to the Sixers.
At number 8 at 16.
Yeah, he was ranked 17th pick.
Yeah, he was a kid from Duke who I don't think is that good.
The Lakers going to take Bronny or what? I mean, is chaos going to erupt when they don't?
I'll give you $1,000 if the Lakers take Bronny. That happened.
At 17.
Yeah,
what happens if the Cavs take Bronny? Then we'll have to talk about.
I'm going to log off immediately and go drink.
All right, we're getting down to it. We're in the thick of this thing.
The Cavs
T-minus 3 to 4 picks. Go ahead, Claw.
Say Cavs look like they might be able to either get away with a steal or get one of what the guys they wanted in this draft without having to do too much reaching. So I'm liking how this is shaping up. As for Connect, I would be surprised if he makes it past Orlando given their issues, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Literally, he would be a steal for Orlando. He would reduce the need for them to go get Klay Thompson. He would be perfect for Orlando, to be perfectly honest. Yikes. I can't believe he's still on the board. I thought he was going to be a lottery pick for sure. He is a bona fide scorer.
The nice thing about taking somebody like that is they play with that chip on their shoulder, right? Like they mark off every team before them that didn't draft him. They're going to show up and play with attitude on every single one of those 15 games. Teams.
I said Allen Houston or what's his name? He's got some Devin Booker to his game a little bit. Devin Booker at Kentucky. He had to initiate some offense for himself. He wasn't just like hey, I'm off the ball, create this shot for me. Like Dalton Connect was doing some things with the ball in his hand.
Come on, Lakers, Bronny it up.
You know we're just going to inevitably draft Bronny if he's not gone by 20, right? it's bound to fucking happen at this point.
I do not want to hear that. Who is that saying that, by the way?
That's me.
Sound like
X.
Yeah,
X.
I feel bad about it, but you know it's going to happen.
I don't want that to be the case, so please no. That
please
right
no.
now.
If that
Don't
happens,
put that energy into the universe. Okay.
if that happens, I'm going to drink the entire bottle of gin tonight.
If that happens, I'm literally gonna crack this open in real time. So we're not gonna manifest that.
I think Richfield and I are two of the only people that just don't want to see LeBron back for the third time.
Nope, I'm the third guy.
I don't want
to
to
see
Fourth
that.
guy.
I just feel like it's fucking inevitable again because once again, we still haven't had a small forward since he's gone every fucking time. So,
Well, there were 29 other teams that managed to find a small forward not named LeBron James, so it shouldn't be that.
Need a small forward.
but we
need
don't
another undersized guard. Okay,
We get a guard, we get
cracking the
another
code.
guard, yet another guard. We don't get a small forward.
Well, thankfully, the what team was this? I think it was Portland, basically for the Washington deal. They kind of, in one way, took away some of these options are being taken away from the Cavs before Kobe gets his hands on them. So I'm kind of happy.
Are
about
you
that.
serious? Did Dalton Connect just go to the Lakers? Are you serious?
Come on.
Yeah, I know Orlando's probably pissed about that.
Oh, there's JJ Redick.
I promise you, I was sitting over here like, I don't care about 3-and-D and all that stuff. Connect is going to be a bona fide scorer, and the Lakers just took him.
I mean, Orlando.
You know,
Orlando's like one player away from having a team that contends for the finals for the next 3 years out of the Eastern Conference.
You know, one thing I think is interesting about the finals is that the losing team in every one of those games never hit 100 points, which tells me that how important defense is, especially the deeper you get in the playoffs.
Yeah. The other thing that's important deep in the playoffs is the mid-range shot, because you get run off the three-point line, and guys that can hit that three-point shot or hit that mid-range shot reliably. It's just so devastating in a low-scoring conference finals or finals game.
Paolo.
I agree.
Paolo. Yeah, that's Paolo. That's why if they ever get like some real shooting on Orlando, they're really going to be a pain in the ass in the East.
Yeah, no, they built that the right way. Like there's like 4 or 5 dudes that are interchangeable wings. Like that team is built kind of crazy.
I mean, they're one brother away from developing a three-pointer shot that's what are the two brothers over there in Orlando? Sorry.
The Wagners.
The Wagner, right. Not Mo, but the other brother. If he could shoot a three, I think the whole NBA would be on standby at that point.
Yeah, they just announced Dalton Connect for the Lakers.
That's so crazy.
Well, they need a wing because LeBron's leaving, right?
They're
at least
very happy with this pick.
Well, at least the Lakers aren't as dumb as we think they are.
Yeah, no, because that is a solid. That's a steal of a pick right there. Austin Reeves, Dalton Connect. They're trying to. Yeah. Yikes.
Yeah, those are the kind of. I like those two guys. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I like both of them too. I like Reeves. He's pretty scrappy, and he's actually a creator. I don't think they want to come back with D'Angelo Russell. Man, that's tough. I started. You know how you sit there and you start talking yourself into something. I was like, he's gonna last until 20, and then they just snapped it, jumped it there and snapped him just now.
Come on, man. You're a Cavs fan. You know better.
All right, so Furphy, the two bigs that we talked about, Filipowski and Day'Ron Holmes, Tristan Da Silva, who we've been rumored to be interested in anyway. There's 4 names with only a pick, 2 picks in front of us.
I'm not a fan of Da Silva.
You're not?
No, I feel like we got him on the squad already, and everybody wants to run that guy out of the gym.
You're talking about Okoro. Who are you talking about, and who are you comparing Da Silva to, Rock?
Not to Okoro, but to our fat YMCA player.
Oh, number 20.
That's funny.
I'm not even.
He's actually a really smart, really smart player. Like he could have been more aggressive and assertive De Silva. But they said he was almost he's almost got a little Coro to him in the way that he was like playing down to compliment his teammates better.
Well, the last thing the Cavs need anybody that's hesitant to pull up and shoot. Like that's our weakness right now, right? Is having that third person that's willing to just let it fly.
Yeah, I'm a well-known Okoro stan. I'm thinking in 4 years, have we seen him take one mid-range shot?
Okoro?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did it once and never again. And there's a part of me that believes that a lot of the frustrations we see with some of these players is partly a JB Bickerstaff issue.
I hope you're right. I would love for you to be right about that.
Because there were some things that Okoro was doing his rookie year that if you look at him now, you're like, who is this guy? He's not Okoro. Like, Okoro doesn't do that, do that. I think there was a big sense of players just not wanting to disrupt whatever they were supposed to do on offense and focusing on defense so much on this team. Good example of that is, so many, even Dean Wade, who, actually can shoot threes, like, has a habit of, like, not taking a shot. And it's just like, when are the Cavs going to get somebody that tells them, shoot the effing ball, dog? When are they going to get that? So I think, look, Kenny Atkinson had no problem with Jared Allen shooting from the corner. And it didn't happen often, but he had no problem with it.
He did not just not have a problem with it. He encouraged it, Claw.
Yeah, so that is really what this team needs around them. I'm not saying that that Okoro is going to finally be a more active shooter or just more decisive offensively, but I think the roadblocks that they had, the mental blocks they had, may have a potential to go back under Atkinson.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I feel like what can't be understated is we had an absolutely terrible coach who did not understand balance to the both sides of the floor. And some of these guys who, like Okoro and Garland, who we really only saw under JBB, I feel like, we may not know what all they're capable of if they had a coach that had an understanding of how to make sure that making the game easier on the offensive side would actually help them produce on the other side. De Silva just went to Orlando.
Yep, just saw it.
Rich, don't you think that that JBB did give Garland quite a bit of leeway, at least before Mitchell got here? I mean, he had that time when he was the guy. It seems to me the problem with JBB and people like Okoro and Wade is that JBB was a play your role kind of coach. Everybody has a role, and that's what you're supposed to stick to. And it made those guys, look very hesitant on offense because things that we would see that would look like good basketball plays, they weren't sure if it was in their role. So I kind of agree with that point that, without JBB, we may see some different playing from some of these guys.
Yeah, no, and I agree with that. I can't stress enough that I thought Ricky Rubio was more of a role assigner. Like when he was active, like when he was playing before he got injured and everything like that, like I felt like he probably helped the top 6 to 7 guys see what their role was supposed to be. And the reason why I attributed to Rubio is the moment he went down and we acquired Karis LeVert, it felt like everybody on the team didn't know what the hell they were doing. Even Garland at the point guard, if you look at his numbers from when Rubio was healthy to when Rubio went down and wasn't actively like on the bench and with the team and stuff. So, and one of his strengths in his international play, and since he came over here, even when he was in Phoenix and everywhere, was he was helping guys see what their role could be on a nightly basis so they could contribute. Anthony Edwards gave him credit for that during his time in Minnesota. So, I think that you can't understate how important that is for making the game easier for kids. Take the kid from big. Holmes is there. So are we on the clock right now, technically, guys?
Now Toronto still got a pick.
Raptors is co-signing. He's saying Rubio is undoubtedly the best offensive coach we've had during the JBB era.
So
it wasn't even close.
The only thing I'm gonna say that's gonna sound contrary to both of you and X is this: a lot of reports came out about Cavaliers players not knowing exactly what their role was, right?
Because the whole thing was that JBB were like, no, you got to shoot it when you're open. Like, come on, shoot it. But, like, you got to get these guys in that muscle memory situation where the ball shows up where they like it, and they don't even think about it. It's not like, I hope this thing's going in. And that's what he could never do. He thought it was like some sort of mental, like, I got to encourage this guy to shoot it. Well, it is at the beginning, but then you got to have them, like, just like a fish only takes a lure when it's, like, the right presentation. That shot's going in 70% of the time. That's how I saw it. Like, it was all like, oh, well, we tell him to shoot it. That's just like not good enough coaching.
I saw a lot of guys who were considered of their teammates and didn't want to be overly assertive and taking shots. Like, we used to see that from Garland when he was sharing the floor with Sexton. And then we saw it a lot from, this is how Mobley cut his teeth in this league. And if you don't have clearly defined roles for guys and they can feel like they don't have to overthink so they're not taking shots from other guys, that might be still what we're seeing from Okoro. So I think we've got a lot of guys who are considerate of their teammates who, with what JBB was doing out there, they didn't want to overstep what everybody else was potentially capable of contributing with. So I think
that's not the personality flaw of the player as much as, to me, like, the coach has to say, like, it's considerate of your teammate to shoot the ball when you're open from the spot that you like to shoot it from. It's not, you're being inconsiderate to not shoot it. Like, and that's the coach's job to say, okay, do we all agree that if we manufacture this shot for Okoro, with this amount of openness, that, like, that's the play. Like, that's a good play. It doesn't matter if it goes in. Like, will it go in enough to make it, And I just felt like guys would get it and they'd be like, between the takey-turny stuff and then, like, when they get it, they're like, oh, I really hope this one goes in. It just felt like that when the ball was in the air.
I agree with that 100%. And I don't know, are you washing dishes right now, Nate Dag?
Yeah, is it too loud? I'll shut. I'll just stop bogarting the mic anyway. All right, I'll put this on.
I agree with you 100%, though. To summarize that, really quickly. So we're on the clock, fellas. We've got guys like Filipowski, Holmes, Furphy. All the top four names that we talked about, everybody except for the unexpected connect are still there. So really quickly, we're gonna go around here with these couple of minutes we got. Call your shot right now. Who do you want this pick to be? Anybody, doesn't matter.
Tari
Island.
Of the guys that are available right now, give me Filipowski, and that's what Raptors just said too.
Yeah, I'm with never thought you'd hear this, but I'm with Rafters on that too. I like Filipowski.
Yep.
I'm not a Filipowski fan, so
the next guy after him, if I had to go to my second guy, would be Furphy after him, because how young he is, and it would be like getting another shot at Usman Jang, I think. But go ahead. Somebody else is going to say another name. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you.
Doesn't Kobe have inroads into USA basketball or just kind of like younger programs? Like, not only who do you want, but who do you think we're going to take? I have no opinion. I don't follow this stuff close enough.
Everybody in the chat is saying Filipowski, by the way. Yeah, he is Nate Dag. He's all about Team USA. And if it's not tied to Team USA or doesn't come with that cosign, it's been rumored that he stays away from it. So
has Ryan Dunn been drafted yet? Did I miss that?
Dunn has not been drafted.
6'6" guard. I'm going to Ryan Dunn. Should have been a lottery pick.
Wow.
How old is Ryan Dunn?
Free throw percentage.
He's born in 2003, so 19, 20 years old. He's 21 years old.
Maybe he'll grow. 6'6" isn't bad, even regardless, but maybe he'll grow.
Is that Ryan Dunn? Doesn't he have like a ridiculous wingspan or something? Am I wrong? I think it's someone else.
No, I think you're right. I think he had like a 7'1" wingspan.
Yeah, 7'2" wingspan, something like that.
He's the guy in the Okoro mold, right? Defensive guy, really good defensive metrics. I'm with Dan, was really big on that, but kind of sketchy shooting.
Yeah, I think he's in the 50s for free throw. That's a little scary for free throws.
I say we draft another guard. I would select Caitlin Clark.
Jacoby Walter to Toronto at 19, by the way.
I was here for the Cavs to not fuck it up then, because there's like everybody on the board that they wanted is there, except for where?
I keep refreshing Shams because Shams keeps spoiling, and I know he's going to announce it like while the commercial break is going on.
Yeah, well, we can't trust Shams or anybody else because none of them told us Dylan Windler first, did they?
No, they were all telling us like Keldon Johnson.
Yep.
And I have a bad feeling, but we'll see.
Well,
I'm glad that the Raptors at least made it possible for the Cavs to pick one of the guys I want to see. But Jacoby Walter to the Raptors, which is interesting.
I honestly still feel like whoever the Cavs pick is going to get traded regardless. So
let's hope so.
All right, our Cavaliers are on the board, fellas.
Ben mentioned another French player would be his pick in the Chatsy draft.
Who said that?
Ben Hakoum Dadiat.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Dadiat, yeah, I've heard his name floated around. Maybe not at 20, but like, if the Cavs traded down or something.
Speaking of trading down, anybody else surprised that there hasn't been more trades during the active draft at this point? Like, typically there's been more trades during the draft than what we've seen.
I think with that small window, Ron, to free agency now, I think things are going to stay hot this week right here.
Don't be surprised if we get like a play-in deal either.
I want to speak to the comment that's in the chat. Somebody says this team needs an Omri Caspi chat type. We do not need the reincarnation of Captain Assfingers on this team. I believe that's what they were called. He was called on RCF. I'm glad to be moved on from the Captain Assfingers era.
Jalen Tyson.
Is that who they picked?
What? 6'7".
Hey, it's not under 6'6", so hey, we did good there.
What?
Wait, did they actually pick Tyson? Is that who they picked?
That is who they picked.
I'm going to start doing a moonwalk right here in the room. Tyson was actually one of my top 3 guys, expecting who they were going to see in the draft. Tyson's he's a good prospect. But there's also the possibility that, like Ochai, he won't be a Cavalier long. But I like the pick. So, Kobe, you didn't piss me off this time, if that is truly the case.
What made him a guy that you wanted to see? Because I'm over here like, wait, what?
Yeah. So Tyson, well, first of all, small forward size. That was number one. And then also, Tyson, I think, was more of an upside pick. Again, this was based on the fact that this was based in an idea that players like Dalton Connect didn't fall. Now, the reason I'm not so disappointed because my pick here probably would have been Holmes, but especially now that he was available to be picked. But I'm not mad at this pick. I think it was more upside with him, and just kind of an out of the box pick. I think that he is. Let me go quickly bring up some of the things about him
While you're looking that up, I'm a big proponent of I'm with Dan's draft analysis he's been doing for the last couple of years. I'm with Dan had him as the number 30 prospect as a shooting guard.
Yeah, it's saying 6'6", 6'7", and it's saying he's more guard than.
Why would we get a forward? Why?
This is Okoro sign and trade and or Okoro goodbye type language, or no?
I mean, 6'6", 215 pounds.
Finish whenever you get a chance, Claw. You finish your what's name. I was using the sultry sounds of Claw to talk myself off of not being disappointed.
Yeah, he looked to be like league average from the wing. He was a 6'7" shooting guard, 6'7" forward. So he's taller than Levert. It's kind of like if you couldn't get like a bona fide starter, which you probably weren't going to get at 20. There, I was looking to see some kind of redundancy with Dean Wade, and he's not going to be on the Cavs. He's not going to be asked to do a ton of creation, but he can still create his own shot. Again, he wasn't my number one. I think I was convinced into Holmes being the number one, and that was strictly forward looking. With Holmes, right today, you probably could play him as a third big alongside Mobley or Allen. And then in the case to say they trade Allen, then he could probably be the kind of talent I would like to see in a JA gets traded scenario. But the fact that with the guys that were there makes me wonder if he's really the real pick. And if he doesn't get traded in the future. There's something about this pick that makes me think about that, especially who's available.
So, it seems like a reach, and if they're holding him for somebody else, I was afraid he might be gone by the mid-20s or something.
Ironically, the Knicks do have 2 picks in this first round, so keep an eye out on who they pick.
Otherwise, I was just saying in the chat, if this is another case of Altman reaching, his drafting record now is kind of rather suspect beyond the obvious pick of Mobley.
They're saying his wingspan is more shooting guard than small forward. Shout out to Q-Tip and Rafters over here.
So they finally get a guy who's tall, but he's actually short. That's brilliant.
Yikes.
Oh, man.
Article on Cleveland.com about him yesterday. Says he models his game after Josh Hart and Caleb Martin. All right.
Well, on the Josh Hart, so when he says Josh Hart, I wonder what he means by that. Does that mean he's going to be a really good rebounder? Because that is something the Cavs need from players that are not the bigs.
He averaged, so the last 2 years was like six a game, almost 7 last year.
I like that. See, I like that.
All right, so I think you guys are a little off on this. 5.5 inches without shoes, and his reach was 8 foot 6.5 inches. So I mean, that's not shooting guard reach.
Wait, you said 6'5"?
Did you say what was the reach?
His standing reach is 8 foot 6 inches. I'm looking at the draft combine, 8 foot 6.5 inches. That's pretty damn good reach.
Yeah, 8 foot 6. Those are piccolo arms. That's crazy reach for a player of his height.
218 pounds.
Ron G, that's standing reach. That is a wingspan.
No, that was that's what I said. His standing reach. His wingspan.
Oh, standing reach is that okay?
His wingspan was 6'8". So I mean,
that's okay. Yeah, that's close enough to 7 foot.
I think they're saying the wingspan is what they're calling T-Rex.
I don't think that's a draft pick that any of us were expecting, honestly. And the fact that Cavs.com had it yesterday.
Cleveland.com.
Wow. That's crazy.
Do you guys think that with the success of our minor league system that it's more likely that we feel like we got young guys in the hopper to kind of fill it out, as far as cap space goes with, players that could stay on the floor, and that this was a pick to be traded? Remember there was like a insider tweet on our board about like there's going to be some fireworks. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know anything about the player. But just looking at the fact pattern, is this kind of made for someone else?
We're not going to do anything. Don't get your hopes up. Don't get your fucking hopes up.
He looked really good in Los Angeles, the Lakers.
So would
yeah, you guys are anti-LeBron. I get it.
Nope, just trade Garland for LeBron, and I'm okay with that.
That's right. Garland, LeVert. You can't have Wade, and you can have this dude, right? We got a decent farm system, is my point. So I don't know if you were not just about draft picks. Like we have CPJ last year, and I don't know, he's a question mark, but signs of optimism. And then we got a farm system good enough to win the full thing in the summer league. Like it's not about like we wouldn't be in like we're in the Mitchell debt from the draft perspective. I don't know. I think that this one might be going out. I don't really care if he stays or goes out. It's just like, is it an Okoro based? Like, hey, this guy might actually be able to get in a rotation. What's his free throw percentage? Like, is he kind of a shooter or can be a shooter?
Free throw percentage 70, almost 80% last year, 72 the year before.
So one would say improving, ascending.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm a stand, bro.
I'm cracking up at Raptors putting their work in the chat over here. So.
Yeah, typical RCF fashion. We're going to talk ourselves into Christian Iyengar.
That's what I do. I got none of the negativity, even all the times we've been smacked down. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm over here. I'm doing my first round of research because I'm feeling like we didn't have to do this. We didn't have to do this research. We didn't have to do the reach.
There were so many good players that were on the board. That was not a name I was expecting.
No.
So CBSSports.com shows him as a shooting guard.
Yeah.
I want to know about his growth plates in his bones to know if he's going to grow anymore. Like, that's where I'm at. Okay. I don't know how y'all scout.
I'm so tired of doing
Here's
this.
Here's another thing I'm kind of worried about. Well, not worried about, but wondering about. This profile that a lot of things are putting out about him seems very shooting guard. It's because Bub was taken off the board by the Blazers. Do you think that the Cavs might be hedging for a LeVert deal in the near future? I mean, I hope they are, but do you think that
right.
This is one of those moves that is kind of hinting at that?
I think that's a fair assumption. He was signed to be traded.
That we're coming back next year with LeVert, Okoro, this new kid, Garland, Mitchell. Like, there's literally 8 shooting guards or 8 guards, scoring guards on the roster right now.
To match up with New York's 8 small forwards.
Yeah, I feel like we just drafted another shooting guard, another guard. But I have to go and sit and watch them. I do trust, the guys that we talk ball with all the time. And Claw's initial reaction was, I actually like this pick. So
true. And what do you think about, like, do you think that if you had to do a snap thing, like LeVert going back to Atkinson, or seeing what Atkinson can do, making zeros into heroes with guards with Okoro, it also weighing their contract situations. I mean, I got to just say, LeVert stays to the deadline, maybe? Like, because maybe he can build his value more? I don't know, but he was kind of up there as, a bench player, right? Like, which one do you see is most likely, anyone? Which one, like, most likely to be, um, traded or to not be on the Cavs, I guess?
I'll say this, Nate Dag. There is a glut of players that are all in that 6'4", 6'5", kind of range. And there's no way in hell we're coming into the next season like the same way that the Knicks are stacked with a bunch of 6'7" guys. Like we're stacked with like 6'5" guys. There's no way in hell we're coming in the next season recommitting money to Isaac Okoro, having LeVert still on the books, and then all the 6'1", 6'2" guys.
Right. So which one do you think goes? Like LeVert has those knuckleheaded moments, like when he gave up 7 points of fouls to the Spurs in like one possession. I don't even know how it's possible. And then, but he has, like, when he can get it, he can get, when he shoots threes, and he's one of the only people who can finish above somebody on occasion. I don't know. And then Okoro is like that young guy, he's a hard worker. How do you see it playing out? Like, which one would you go with?
Neither.
Neither's a decent. That's a choice.
I go with Okoro over LeVert for sure, but I would really like to consolidate both of those guys into that wing still. So,
yeah, I think that we're kind of the situation I'm kind of thinking about with Okoro right now is very much like Colin Sexton when the Donovan trade happened, and it might just work out the same exact way. Sign and trade, Cavs get a player that they like that kind of reduces the redundancy, that specific redundancy, and LeVert is an expiring contract this season anyway, so I expect him to be moved in some way.
Good point.
I just wish the Cavs had a better history of turning expirings into something.
I just got PTSD from watching Wally Zerbiak contract expire like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yikes.
There was also somebody made the comment about how Ricky Rubio was the best coach for the Cavs.
Awesome.
That was a great comment because like the floor of this team raised immensely when he was on the roster and healthy. And there's still one thing that Rubio does as a guard. There's one thing he does as a guard that like none of the other guards do that really ticks me off. He was very willing to run pick and pop plays with Kevin Love and do the backwards pass in those situations. It's very rare that I see Donovan or Darius do that. But I think kind of speaking to what Rich said earlier, despite what happened in December after what we thought was going to be doomsday, and the Cavs just went on that tear with Donovan and Allen in the lineup. I'm not 100% certain about Donovan being the only guard, like the only playmaker in the backcourt.
Yeah.
Or the main one. I'm very much in agreement with what was said on Rubber Rib Job in an earlier podcast that Donovan very much needs to learn how to be more like Jimmy Butler. And when
he
it comes
to like when to close.
Yeah. And he kind of did that last season. So maybe he must have been listening to the podcast.
When he could afford to.
Yeah. But that's like I really feel Donovan is looking to score, and that's his strength. Right. And finding different ways for him to score while he's able to make his own shot. I think that's the route the Cavs need to go, regardless what happens in the backcourt.
I agree with that 100%. We'll see. Go ahead.
They need that playmaking wing, like that sort of not pass first, but that kind of not just like slasher type wing. They need, like, in other words, like Brunson is on the Knicks and he's kind of a score first guard. Donovan can do that, but then you need someone else. The Knicks have like 5 of these dudes, but somebody who can kind of not just initiate and beat their man one-on-one, but who kind of does that CPJ thing where they like find where the weakness is, pass it toward the weakness until something good happens. So CPJ could be that quintessential point guard, which would be another source of offense. And then you have Donovan, who's just explosive and at times just dominant. And then you need that wing like Avila, who just got traded or whatever. I don't know what's his name. That would be that like pass oriented forward. I don't know. That's what I think we're missing.
I think it's more basic than that. I don't think we have a front court scorer that scares anybody.
Yeah, I agree.
I know Mobley's had moments, but do we really have a front court scorer that keeps defensive coaches up at night?
Mobley really hasn't had moments like as far as scoring. Like he takes guys one-on-one and misses. The touch is off, right? Allen has the touch, but like if he gets the ball within 4 feet, he's got a really high percentage. I mean, he kind of gets shit on a little too much, in my opinion. But nobody, like you said, who's like a talented sort of like, not what's the word, triple threat, but 3D, 3-level offensive player who's big.
Yeah,
I'm gonna jump in here. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna jump in here, guys.
Of course.
Smooth just tweeted Isaac Okoro 6'5", 213, 6'8.5" wingspan, and an 8 foot 4.5-inch standing reach. And then he put Jalen Tyson's measurements, which are pretty much the exact same. He says Tyson is no more of a wing than Okoro is.
Yeah.
That's smooth just a few minutes ago here.
But if we're setting up an offense, so we have a new coach, do we really have a number 1 or number 2 option in the front court? I know we've talked about making Mobley a hub. I don't think he's there yet. And I think I think we're at the point, and Sebastian said this earlier, where we're further along than we used to be. So we're talking about second round, third round of the playoffs. We need players that can compete at that level when you're deep into the playoffs. And I don't think we have any front court player that's competitive at that level yet offensively. I just don't see it. And that I think is our crying need on this team. And maybe we can develop Mobley to do that, but right now we don't have that.
I mean, let's be honest, there's not a lot of those guys in the NBA in the first place. I mean, that list, starts at Denver and Philly? That's it.
Well, no, you've got, we're talking about scorers. You talk about number 1 options or scorers in the front court, guys that play forward or center. There's a bunch of guys like that are primary scorers.
I'd take a number 1 or number 2 scorer or a number 1 or number 2 hub in the front court. We don't have either.
I like Mobley as the hub. I think he's got the hub ability with like the threat of scoring not there yet, but he passes pretty well, right? He's a smart player.
I think he has very good hands. I think most, maybe he could develop into that, but you watch his hands, he seems to lose a lot of balls. And I think certainly the way the team's currently constructed, our first and second offensive hubs are both backcourt players. I don't know how you develop a secondary hub in the front court when you've got the hubs in the backcourt already.
I hear what you're saying, but my question to this is and we just watched Boston win a championship. They don't have that front court player that you're talking about.
He's a scorer. You got Jason Tatum's a scorer.
He's a small forward.
Yeah, but he's a front court. When I say front court, I'm talking about 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, well, Tatum wasn't even the best player on his team, let alone second or third best player in the finals. So.
But his scoring ability is very good. That's what Mobley could be, that hub. And, he could be, you can't give him doesn't necessarily need to be the same player. I don't know. Jason Tatum is a bona fide scorer, and he plays power forward, or does he play?
He's small forward. Like they mostly use Jaylen Brown as a power forward. In that
Right. So
and their centers can shoot. I mean, that team, man.
But you've got, if you take Boston, you've got Brown and Tatum. We don't have anything approaching them offensively, right? You take Philly, they've got Embiid. You take Orlando, they've got Banchero, right? You've got Milwaukee. You take Milwaukee, they've got Giannis. You look at all of our competitive teams, we do not have front court scoring. And without that, I don't see how we're even a favorite to get in the conference finals.
We don't even have a starting small forward, really.
Yeah, because I'm watching this kid. I'm watching this kid on these highlights right here, and I see a shooting guard. But
it's like the third year where we've had a glaring hole in the same position, and no, we're not going to address it. It's what the off season's not over, and they pulled off the Mitchell trade when we were all ready to jump into the lake because of the Ajabi pick over Eason. But I mean, if they don't address it and they just run the core four back, is anybody everybody's been saying? Does anybody really expect the core four to be able to defeat the Celtics, now the Knicks, Philadelphia in a 7-game series, even playing at their maximum? The full multipliers. They're buffing all their traits. Is it enough? Mobley would have to go off. He would have to go just completely off the charts, I think, for them to be able to do that. Like, he'd have to just level up all, 2 different tiers and just be like a scoring savant to really make up for the fact that they just have a hole in that lineup still.
Yeah, or Orlando next year when they're improved, or we have to worry about Indiana. And to me, I think that this is why we had to replace our coach, and we're bringing in Kenny Anderson. But we have to make a move this summer. I think we've got to get a front court scorer. We just have to.
And we won't.
Yeah.
We won't. I've zero faith in Kobe to do what needs to be done.
I'll say this: there are still players who I would have been happy taking at 20 on the board. And those 2 New York picks are coming up, 24 and 25. Literally, I would, if we jumped up here and got our big with floor spacing potential, I'd be happy. I was going to be happy if we took Filipowski, and he's still on the board, and New York's 2 picks are coming up. Quite a few guys are still on the board right now. So,
what do we offer? What do we offer the Knicks that is salary relief, or what do you think? Because they're going to trade a competitor who they had in the playoffs 2 years ago. How do you see that even being? Do they just think they're so much better than us because on paper right now they are, that they just traded us?
So they just traded every draft pick they have for the next 10 years. So there is some future draft compensation that you could say, hey, you wouldn't draft both of these kids right here and keep them. There's a lot of options, a lot of ways you can go. But
what future draft compensation do we have for them?
The 2nd round pick. I don't have it in front of me, Nate Dag.
No, I'm sorry. I just meant to say that I thought the story, baseline, was that we traded a bunch of future draft capital for Mitchell. Ergo, we're not going to be able to have them trade for 1st round picks, and they might say it's a weak draft. It's not impossible. It's interesting.
You don't have to get locked in on just those next 2 Nick picks.
Right.
We've got 7 picks still to make tonight, but I was bringing up the Knicks because there's no way they're not going to be able to keep their top 7 or 8 rotation players right now, especially with them trading nothing. They traded Bojan Bogdanovic and a bunch of draft picks to get Bridges. So I don't see a world where they're about to bring in a couple of first round picks right now. Oh, Knicks trading 24 to the Wizards. Never mind.
There you go.
Announced it here. I'm like, there's no way. One of those
It
picks
seems
have
like
to be
the
moved.
Knicks would actually need some young talent to balance out the roster salary wise more than trading. If they trade for talent, that just raises their salaries. So if they, I could see them keeping picks because they need some young guys.
Rich, what was the trade with the Knicks pick? Like, what did they get back?
I don't know yet. I posted when the guy announced it. Knicks trading 24 to the Wizards.
I don't know, the Cavs future picks before the Mitchell re-signing it's an interesting call option or put option, I guess, on the Cavs success. Like if I'm another team, I'm like, all right, well, what if Mitchell just says, look at all this improvement everywhere else in these up and coming teams, and he doesn't resign, then our pick next year would be worth more. Obviously, it's gone. Yeah, I guess it's gone for the next few years.
This night ain't over yet. So
it ain't over.
It ain't over yet.
Time to start firing up some of those Allen trade ideas, because I mean, you think about the core four and how they match up and the lack of small forward. Ultimately, Allen is the position where the Cavs are pretty decently strong, but is the least impactful in the series against those guys, I think.
Yeah, Richfield. Sorry.
The Garland, the whole San Antonio angle, which people have been playing with for a while, seems to be not going to happen unless those picks are traded as part of something. But if Garland's staying put, then Allen has to go, because you need to bring in somebody at small forward. They just can't. Running it back is not. I mean, unless they find a way to get at least a solid 3-and-D player to camp in that Herb Jones type guy somehow without trading Allen, it's a second round exit.
Richfield, that it's not over yet. You sound like the guy in the bar at 10 till 2, and there's only the big girls left. It's not over yet.
After you had a couple of shots, you start talking yourself into this.
It's not too late.
Well, she's
the
not
bottom
that
of the
big.
barrel.
She just looks big. She's wearing platforms. The bad lighting. She's drinking, very a gin and tonic is very low in calories.
I would be happy with
can you guys hear me or no?
We can. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Hey, it's JJ. Thank you, guys.
What's
Appreciate
up, JJ?
it. Hey. Remember 2 years ago, like when we drafted, was it Ochai, like back then? Like everyone was like pretty doomed. And next thing you know was about 2 months later, we acquired Donovan Mitchell. I say anything can happen in these next month. I wouldn't be surprised if Garland is not with us before the season starts. And
JJ just came in here and chose violence, man. I'm over here nodding. I'm like, yeah, this is great. And then you just veered into popping my balloon. But go ahead, please.
No, I think the organization finally realizes that Garland is just not physically enough as that kind of a player and cannot coexist with Mitchell. But the problem is, I think they were expecting maybe Garland to be getting traded so they would get some sort of wing or something. And I think that's probably why they were high on Tynes, or I forgot his name again, Jalen. And he's more of like a point guard, kind of 6'5", 6'6". Yeah, it's another guard. But if they think very, really highly of him to be able to generate offense with Donovan together, it makes sense if you find the wings eventually. And I would expect Okoro not to be with us anymore too, as well.
I think
just
notably that the Pelicans position really hasn't changed, and that the pieces that have been bandied about for an Allen for one of their small forwards, those preconditions still exist. They still want Allen, and they still have a glut at that position. So if one of the four is to move, I'm still putting my money on Allen, simply because the deal's been the structure's been in place for a while, the need's there, and yeah, like with Mitchell, Kobe is probably going to be fishing around for a deal, but if he doesn't get that deal by August, I tend to think Allen's going to be on his way to New Orleans.
How
But
about
Allen for who? Like this Allen stuff. The problem is like we're talking about we need to get bigger, and then we're gonna get smaller. I don't know. I think Garland with his agent being like, "Hey, we don't want to have him on the same team," and Mitchell resigns or whatever, and then Mitchell posting a thing about Allen being like them hugging. I mean, I don't know how much you read into that, but I just don't see how we get smaller when the lesson is we need to get bigger. Or do you think we just need to get bigger on the wing and that our rebounding will be solved, trading our best rebounder?
So really quickly, the Knicks traded 24 to the Wizards for 26 and some other considerations, I believe. So Knicks are still on the clock for 25 and 26. So they essentially just leapfrogged 24 and 26. And all of these picks and stuff are obtainable. Is what we're seeing. These guys are just moving this stuff around. I don't think the Knicks have made their draft pick yet.
Yeah, I just saw it on the TV. 24 is Keyshawn George, so he'll be going to Washington.
Got it. And Washington gave them something to move up from 26, but the Knicks now have 25 and 26, and they're probably taking calls right now on it. And I keep saying this, but I'm going to keep saying it until these guys come off the board. Filipowski and Furphy from Kansas are still up here. These are all guys that were projected to go, within these, 5 picks ahead of where this is at right now.
Any chance Cleveland trades back into the first round or top of the second? Because there's a lot of good talent still left on the board that didn't get picked up.
They might try to get a second rounder. They're done for the day, I think.
Is it me or was there more excitement last year over Amani Bates than there is over our first round pick this year?
I mean, at least Amani Bates is 6'7" and can shoot a 3.
Yeah. Actually, I'm really excited to see Kenny Atkinson work with Monty Bates, and I'm not even joking when I say that.
Here's my
I'd
another
like to
thought.
see Luka Travers.
Yeah, Luke Travers. See, I jokingly say that with some of these prospects that seem to get in the orbit of Kobe Altman, that I'm kind of Dr. Umar about them, if you get that reference. The Luke Travers is a guy that intrigues me. Yes, I kind of wish he would show a little bit more in the shooting end, but the defense is there. The passing, all the things that being connective and just having the right attitude, playing in the Australian League. I really like his game, and I kind of hope if things kind of go a certain way that maybe they consider bringing him over. Defensively, I really like him. And he is properly small forward sized. So
He is a small forward size.
Yeah, so you could get if he could. He's one of the guys that I actually would like to see on the Cavs one day, but who knows what the holdups are there, and who knows what's going to happen in the future. It really depends on what happens.
So here was my deal with Sarr. Everybody thinking his teammate was going to go number 1 in this particular draft, right? He's playing with a guy that was drafted 2 years ago, albeit in the second round. He's playing with a guy that was drafted 2 years ago by the Cavs, and his stats weren't that much greater. But the only thing that people were looking at was the fact that he was already 7 foot tall, right? So the only advantage he had over him, if you go back and look at the Australian League and how they played, our guy, who's already been drafted by us, put up solid numbers. He's ready to contribute. He is never going to be your first, second, or third scorer, but he can facilitate, and he can play defense, and he can be that cog that we need to get the rest of the offense running, because he can hit the corner 3 and he can rebound when other people don't want to rebound. And when I say don't want to rebound, it's just you're out there watching it. We got spoiled when we were watching LeBron play. There was a lot of nuances that no one ever talked about, right? Like, so Tristan was this amazing rebounder back then, right? Only because Mike Brown had this offensive mindset and defensive mindset when it came to rebounding, was everybody else would block out. so Tristan could rebound.
Right.
We don't do that. You don't have a coach that's smart enough to do that now. So Luke Travers is that cog or the glue that could make it make it work. And we saw it in the summer league. And I'm not touting some summer league championship, which actually to me means more than some NBA playoff or what they call it, the tournament, the play-in tournament.
In season cup thing, yeah.
Yeah, right. So Luke Travers has a skill set that's very valuable.
No, I agree with you. There's something to his game that was like a perfect fifth player on the floor. Like you guys remember when we first saw Andy play? And it was like, man, this dude it's weird watching him and his hair all over the place and stuff. But there was just an interconnectivity to the way he approached the game that made the other four players look like they knew exactly where they were supposed to be at. I don't think that you're being extreme when you say Travers has that type of quality to him. He does. Delly had that same type of quality. And when I first saw Delly his rookie year, I was like, he's a smart player who knows how to, be an interconnected player. Like he's the perfect fifth player on the floor. When you can get a guy like that who's super talented, like Andre Iguodala used to do it before he fell off a cliff. And you were like, man, you could easily be like the second best player on the floor, but you're willing to play that way. That's what I get from Luke Travers. Like, it's like if you were selfish enough and not like as educated, didn't have as high of an IQ, you would probably approach the game and you could be like the second best player on the floor. Like I literally see that from Travers. I was waking up and watching at 2 a.m. His Australian games. And I was like, okay, you're a little bit older now. I want you to be a little bit more assertive. And he was still approaching it like, what do I have to do to get my teammates going? So I'm actually, if he comes over, I'm excited. I'm ready for Travers to come over because it's clear that we're not going to draft a guy who will keep him from being on the floor as a wing. I don't want it to, just because he was a second round pick and we waited for him a little bit of time and stuff. I don't want it to be understated that I think he can be a contributor next season. So,
would you call this like a case of multiplication versus addition? Like that kind of concept, which I heard and I don't even know what it means, but I think it's cool.
Multiplication by
like certain players are adders and certain players are multipliers, like that kind of thing, where he would be that fit that's not like an addition, more of a multiplier for everyone around him.
Yeah. No, I didn't know what you were getting at, but yes.
Yeah, no, I heard it on the board and I was like, oh, that sounds whack.
And we brought up guys. So a second ago, we brought up guys where I talked about watching Anderson, Varejao, watching Matthew Dellavedova. He's that kind of guy where you're like, I think he's better than this, but I think he can just do whatever needs to be done to make that unit work. You know how Nate Dagg, when you're playing pickup ball, and there's certain guys, like if you're the captain of the team, like you've already scouted to be like, I want guys who can get me buckets, but I want those dudes that are like interconnectors.
That's me. I get sweaty out there, bro.
See?
Hold on, you gotta say hi to Mrs. Dagger.
I gotta check.
What's up, Mrs. Nate
This
Dagg?
is the Cavs. This is everyone's in this chat here, and we're talking about the draft.
You're good.
And everybody here appreciates the Nate Dagg kids too.
Yeah, you're on video, Brev.
Bro, bad.
I have to say this is actually kind of a really cool idea because I post with a lot of you guys all the time, and you actually, even if you don't see them, hearing the voices attached to a lot of the posters makes a lot of things a lot more humanizing. I think
it's pretty cool. Sebastian's cat is always contributing and actually eating right now, so we got to appreciate that.
Sebastian with the cat, all he needs to do is pet the cat with the voice. He sounds like Ernst Stavro Blofeld, from the Bond movies.
You mean Sebastian's like tiger? Is that really a cat, like the same species?
Or is it a Maine Coon?
Yes, it is substantial in size.
I love how intentional it is right now about eating those little pellets. Like it's like I don't have to worry. Nobody's gonna take this from me. So I can appreciate that.
Talking about, we just had a draft pick. We're not sure if we're going to keep him or trade
Yeah.
him.
The Knicks just took the fourth player from France in the draft.
So there's that Pakami, whatever name that they said that Ben liked his name. He just went to the Knicks. And the last Knicks pick is coming up right now, that 26th pick.
And for the record, Yahoo gave us an A- on that draft pick for the Cavs, which I would probably give us a C+. But
Yahoo gave us an A-.
A-.
I'm a quote.
At least it filled a hole, though, right?
I'm a quote Smooth. That's what she said. I knew somebody would say that. If you're looking for a two-way big wing who can play a lot of minutes with Mitchell and Garland, you may be disappointed. If you're looking for a Karis LeVert successor, you may feel better. That's Smooth.
I don't think looking for Karis LeVert's successor can make me feel better.
I'm with you on that one, 100%. I'm looking for Karis LeVert's trade bait. Like,
Karis might be like that opposite of the glue guy, like in the sense, Rich, you talked about this in the past, like he's the guy who, it's not empty stats like a Jordan Poole, but it's kind of when there's a vibe and the ball gets in his hands, sometimes the vibe changes, or it's not consistent.
Absolutely.
And so he might be the kind of guy who, like, the stats were good, whatever. At one point, he was third and sixth man of the year, but maybe it'll help if he's out and then a guy like this is in. I don't know this guy's sort of like on-court game, the draft pick. So I got nothing to say about that.
The thing about Karis, though, during the season is a lot of times we had either Garland or Mitchell out of the game, and we simply did not have anybody else that could create their own shot. We just didn't.
No,
and
that's
the
guy
large,
drove us nuts.
And Brew, that's the reason why Karis LeVert is on this roster is because that 2021 season where Darius was killing it, but all the other guards died. The Cavs had no creation beyond him.
Yep.
And that's why he's here. But it's been a couple of seasons. We know we need to move on from him. Some people describe. Well, there was an infamous tweet, and I know the person who made it, the one who said that, like, each game Karis LeVert plays, he's like possessed by a different NBA player. The reference, the way I talk about the Karis LeVert experience is that it's a roulette. It's like playing Mario Kart. You hope you get the blue shell, maybe the red shell, maybe the mushroom, but you don't want to get the banana peel. So that is the Karis LeVert experience. And, I was thinking maybe this pick may not only be a LeVert, a post LeVert pick, but maybe hedging for if they trade Okoro. I don't think he's nowhere. I don't think he's the same kind of player. I think he's a better shooter than Okoro, better rebounder than Okoro. He's more willing shooter. He's had experience having to be the only guy doing offense where he can create his own shot. So I think he has a lot more upside, in college than Okoro did.
Yeah.
And he's picked number 20 instead of number 5. So if people really get hung up about that's another difference.
You give him a little bit more grace at 20 than you would 5.
Yeah, and I think because of his expiring contract, there will be a post LeVert era in Cleveland. So in his absence, as Bruce said, a more creation is needed in the roster when the two main ones go down, and that's why I'm like I said, I had him pretty high on my list because of some of the qualities he had, and that was with the expectation that a lot of players, including maybe even Filipowski, would be off the board. Considering I was really worried about OKC, I was worried about the Heat, I was worried about the Kings and a couple of other teams maybe trying to take some of those players that the Cavs were interested in, and he would be one of the guys left. And I was like, well, if they pick him, that's a good pick. Even just looking forward, I already said Holmes was probably my guy because of what he gives you now and what he might give you later in a post Allen scenario. But like I said, I'm not completely dooming over this pick because again, we have Kenny Atkinson, not JB Bickerstaff. Some players will be moved, and with anybody the Cavs pick in this situation, we have to see if they survive past August, September, past summer league, if we know like if they're going to stick around or not. So I think it's okay.
Okay.
I mean, if Okoro's gone, I can get on board with the pick with you if Okoro's gone and when Okoro's gone. I don't think that they bring Okoro back for anything more than the qualifying offer, right? Like, if they can't get him for that, if they're not going to pay MLE money for him, there's better players available, and we all know that, right? So if they drafted somebody that they can pay $2 million, $3 million a year to do what Okoro did, I'm on board.
So, what's the plan contract wise with Evan Mobley? He's eligible for a full extension now. Is he going to get it this summer? Or are we going to wait? How does that fit in with the fact that we've got Mitchell and Garland as 2 max contract guys?
I think it's irrelevant. You got a unicorn that's still a young big that takes longer to develop than guards do, and you're going to give him the max, and you live with the consequences.
I think what Brew is saying is, this is the first summer that he's available to receive it. Is that right, Brew?
Right. So the Sixers, for example, did not extend Tyrese Maxey after 3 years. They're going to give him the max after his 4th year when he's a restricted free agent. So part of the question is, are the Cavaliers going to extend him now, or are they going to wait a year? We had this conversation early on when we first drafted him, that you couldn't have 3 rookie or 3 early contracts, but that's not an issue anymore.
Max money all the way.
Yeah, I think as soon as possible you should offer. I think with Maxey was the 21st or 22nd pick, right?
Right, 21st.
With Mobley, I feel like it's kind of a no-brainer. Not that he's going to take something personal if we're like, oh, we'll wait till next summer. Doesn't it like take a whole nother year before it kicks in or something like that anyway?
Correct.
Yeah, he'll play out next year, and then his extension would go into play. But with Daddy Mobley being in the background, you got to give him the money now.
Yeah, I wouldn't even play around with that because I feel like that's still the guy that you're saying is supposed to be your number one, and the guy that your whole build is still hedging on. So I wouldn't even play around with it, to be honest.
You can't play poker. You can't play that hand.
Nope.
Like you just gotta like take the risk of him, like not living up to it is much less than the risk of him somehow getting pissed off and leaving, whatever, taking some qualifying offer, not signing something. Like your kind of hands are tied. I mean, love the player. You know what I mean? Offense is not quite there with the touch, but like you just got to do it. So I don't know. I think they're like, it's not without risk, but it's almost, I don't see it any other way.
For those of you who aren't keeping up here, the Knicks just received 5 second-round picks from the Thunder for this pick number 26.
Ooh.
So, the Knicks traded from 24 back to 26 with the Wizards. I don't know what else they got, and they just traded the 26 pick for 5 second-round picks. So.
No, I didn't tell me that.
I mean, it's good that one of these shitty teams is finally getting on a roll and doing shit the right way, because the Knicks are a shitty team, and for once they're actually making good decisions and getting payout for it. Hopefully our turn comes soon.
Yeah. You can definitely tell that their front office and their coaching is all aligned with what they're doing here. Dylan Jones is who the Thunder traded 5 second-round picks for, by the way.
Somebody that still wasn't projected to go in the first round.
So I'm still sitting here holding out hope because there's still, what is it, 3 picks that we've got? for the rest of the first round for the rest of the night here?
Here's like Minnesota, traditionally cheap ownership group. They may not hang on to this even if they select it.
Is that who's picking 26th or 27th, Minnesota?
I just walked in the room, but yeah, I think so. Terrence Shannon Jr. Shannon.
I like Terrence Shannon. Is that who just went?
Yeah, that's who went to Minnesota. Who traded up to number 8? Who took the Spurs' second pick?
Minnesota picked number 8. They picked
Right.
Dillingham.
And that guy was like a sort of learn from Conley point guard type notion. Or is he not a point guard?
I mean,
who are we talking about? Who's not a point guard?
We're talking about Dillingham, number 8 pick for them. He's 6'3", 176 pounds. He's better be a point guard.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you got to think Conley's a freaking class act, right? I mean, he's kind of one of those.
Ty Dillingham, are you talking about from Kentucky?
I'm talking about
yes.
Yeah. So Minnesota
he's a
traded
prototypical point guard. All he is a point guard.
Right. Which is kind of like the Conley tutelage, not replacement, but like, the future or whatever, right? That's the notion behind. I don't know. I'm a big proponent of you invest in the guys who can learn from the really good guys you have, in that sense. So that was kind of a surprise to see them trade up to 8, right?
Yeah. Dillingham was one of the top, I guess you could say, PGs on the board. So I would say that they're definitely trying to probably draft Conley's replacement. Put him under his tutelage and everything like that.
Right. And Conley's that guy who will just be like, you know what, I'm on board. He won't be like, I'm not coming to camp. He'll be like, I can't wait.
Yeah, no, he knows his days are numbered. And I'm pretty sure they've got some young guys up there. They Monte Morris and there was somebody else, Jordan McLaughlin or whatever like that. But I don't think Minnesota's going to throw this kid right in the fire. I don't think they're like, hey, we're going to contribute next year kind of thing.
Yeah, not at 27, but at 8, like you got to think that guy is going to get the direct like download from Conley.
Yeah, Phoenix taking Ryan Dunn at 27, I think. Ryan Dunn going.
You mean Denver trade? Okay.
Yep.
I'm watching ESPN.
Here's something that has to be mentioned. Durf, what's his name from Kansas? The guy we remember. You can tell my brain is starting to shut off. The wing. He's a freshman. He's only like 18 years old. I can't believe he may not go in this first round right here.
I mean, there's a bunch of players that we really thought should go first round that aren't going to go first round.
Furphy. Yeah. That's kind of crazy to me. And everybody's talking about his body like he's just not NBA ready with his build and his strength and everything like that. But I'm telling you, the talent is there. So it's crazy that we may go through this first round with him not going.
You're talking about Filipowski?
Furphy from Kansas.
And then there's also the chance that the interviews, like, remember that dude? This is not really like analogous, but remember that dude in the NFL who got caught with like a weed, like, freaking gas mask on?
The mask, the offensive lineman,
Yeah, from
Alabama.
Ole Miss. Ole Miss. All right, whatever. But the point is, like, some guys are going to fall almost irrationally for some sort of, well, I don't know, reason that shouldn't be that important. I'm not saying it's here, but maybe, like the way he responded to the body questions or something. I don't know. Like, there's always going to be value.
I mean, there's been a lot of centers, stretch fives that haven't been drafted that were projected in the first round at this point, too.
Pretty surprising, right?
Right? Like, 2 of the centers have been taken, and that's it.
So are you indicating that it would be your preference that we trade draft capital and or player capital to get like one of these guys? I don't know anything about any of them.
Soul Blade just brought up Daryl Arthur from Kansas. If you guys are familiar, I remember that. He didn't end up killing it at the next level, but I do remember him falling like crazy because of the doctor couldn't read a medical report. Good call. Daryl Arthur, what was he like 6'10", 6'9" or 6'10", kind of tweener, big guy. I remember him falling that night.
But he also was a terrible NBA player, correct?
Yeah, he didn't like set the world on fire, right? But Kansas guys usually don't. But that's another conversation. How many years until Kobe fills out and develops?
Throwing shade at Kansas. Okay. Just ran Kansas over and then backed it up just to run them over one more again.
Oh yeah,
okay.
I'm not a big fan of Jayhawks going pro. USC's Isaiah Collier to the Jazz at 29. So we got 2 picks left in the first round: Boston and Toronto.
If Filipowski ends up as a Duke player on the Cavs, then like go fund me for Rich to have to wear the jersey, like the college jersey to the game. You know.
I actually wouldn't mind Filipowski.
And second round, I'm agreeing with you. Second round, yeah, I would take
second round. Yeah, if the Cavs could get in there and get a player like that, I'm okay with that being the second round pick.
I didn't like him knocking that kid around when the kids were celebrating on the court and he tripped that kid. I remember him doing that.
Yeah,
post it link in the chat.
You kind of bring up a point that I was going to bring up since I have the opportunity to talk to all of you. One thing I think benefited the Cavs, and this was a theme on Rubber Rim Job, is the addition of bad hombres on this team. And I think the Cavs, like my dream pick, if the prospect existed, I don't know if they did, and I know somebody on the boards expressed this. I wish that the Cavs could get a younger Marcus Morris. I love that signing. I love that they brought back Tristan, even though I thought, well, this is kind of a size, but he actually ended up giving some good minutes even in the playoffs, honestly. One of my concerns about Kobe is that he hedges way too much on a certain type of disposition in the player.
Yeah, I agree.
That the fact that they brought in a Marcus Morris, who I have mixed feelings about, but I think that what he gave us in the playoffs, which much better than what we got from Niang, who was paid handsomely to be a guy who catches the ball and shoot. Now maybe if they can't get off that in the offseason, Kenny will draw something up better sets so that he's not convinced to do some of the things he does. But between the two of them, I really like what Marcus Morris brought, and I wish the Cavs could get a younger player just like him on their roster.
It's been rumored that Marcus Morris was only here because of JBB.
That is surprising.
I mean, I think they should bring Morris back, especially because of the comments he made in his post interview.
I agree. I agree, Ron.
You need that guy.
I'm just not a big fan of a whole bunch of Boy Scouts but we're just gonna go totally Boy Scout.
I mean, you don't need to go full Dre bum about it, but I do think that Marcus Morris is acceptable. Like, you need those dudes that on your roster that, or more of those dudes on your roster that, hey, when they pull some of this funny style stuff like Bum Simmons did in the Nets game, when they pull some of this stuff like, Dre Bum does every game he plays, or who was another person? Dylan Brooks. Somebody compiled a list of Cavs player crash outs, what I thought was hilarious, where the funniest one was DG. They started off, he was like basically in what's his name? Jalen Suggs' face and pointing and doing all that stuff. I like seeing that from our players. I like seeing that. And of course, my favorite one was Donovan. There's 2 Donovan ones I love. When Dylan Brooks pulled his little move and Donovan fell forward, picked up and threw the ball at him. I love that. When Dre Bum,
I agree with that 100%. That actually gave me hope earlier in the season.
Yeah, like when early in the season against the Warriors, when Draymond does that one thing where it looks like he like fouled or did something to Donovan and didn't get a call. So then Donovan running back up the court like hard checks him.
Yeah.
And gets in
And
his
then he
face.
told him to go
And
take
it
a shower.
got him kicked out of the game. Like I love those two games against the Warriors. Like JA kicking inadvertently kicking Draymond in the genitals was hilarious. You know, Donovan trolling him was hilarious. And the Cavs like basically blew them out both games. That was my favorite part of last season. Like years I've been those guys have just been running roughshod on the Cavs, and the Cavs finally got him. And I think Donovan
You're not gonna want to hear this, but the guy who is a younger Marcus Morris is Tari Eason. So
man,
there's we
and
got,
you know, and I loved that
week.
prospect. I wanted him like there was two guys, Tari Eason, Jalen Williams, were at like near the top of could the Cavs get these guys at 14 list. Oh man.
We got the next week here. There will be moves made, I believe. So we got 30 and 31 are on the board, X. We got Boston making this pick at 30.
31 is tomorrow. Tomorrow is second round.
Oh, 31 is tomorrow, starting the second round.
This tomorrow. Boston's it.
So this is it for the night. Shireman from
I called it 2 years ago. I said we were going to take Ochai Jabi because that one dude posted and told us he was in the top 3 picks in the Zion draft as a freshman in Kansas. That put a curse on us.
And sure enough,
taking him.
Hey, yo, you talking about that dude that had that thread that said, what's his name? Ochai Abaji, don't sleep on this dude from the Cavs.
Stop sleeping on him. Yeah.
Yeah, stop sleeping. That I thought of that thread immediately when the Cavs drafted him.
He told me to stop digging my own grave, so he was always calling me the grave digger because I was digging my own grave because I wasn't on Ochai Island.
So this pick by the Boston Shireman, in some of because I kind of swim all over Cavs discussion, areas on the internet. Shireman was a person that I saw his name come up a lot with people discussing possible 20 picks. And there was this one thing from this dude, Mike Savagno, who doesn't always have the best takes on the Cavs, but he actually had a good take where he was quote tweeting it, said he wanted somebody who had taller than 6'4", had all of these measurements. And he said 2 guys fit that description. Number 1 of them was Shireman from Creighton. Number 2 was Tyson, the guy the Cavs picked from Baylor. And again, picking him at 20 would only have to been the case if everybody the Cavs wanted to get was off the board. But seeing Boston picking him is very interesting because he's kind of like less athletic, but he kind of is one of those do everything on the floor, including creating your own shot players. And I think he will fit just nicely somewhere in the Cavs. In the Boston rotation, if he actually makes it in there. Because this is the underrated thing about Boston, and I keep hammering on it, is Boston 1 through 8, all of those guys can shoot threes.
Yep.
And they got so lucky with the offseason moves last season that allowed them to get Zingas, that allowed them to get Drew. Yeah, they were so lucky with that, and just built a team that really fits around those two, the 2 J's. It's very difficult to fund in those situations. You need luck in those situations. That's what I want to remind people.
Yeah, I've said Boston, the Celtics were built by idiots. The idiots that made some of the trade, some of the trades starting with Philly.
I was just about to say that starting when the Ainge was taking advantage
starting with
of,
Philly, right?
Down.
And but the other thing is with Boston with that shooting. Everybody now is chasing them like the Knicks. Everyone's trying to copy that template, and that almost never works as a strategy. We'll see.
Yep.
Yeah, well, there's not another Porzingis walking through the door than anybody anytime soon. So
Yeah, and the thing about Zingas too, because I've always had kind of like a negative agenda against him, because everybody cites him for being a, a stretch five. Zingas is in the perfect situation where he does not have to be even the third best player in that starting lineup, and he can just thrive doing the things he does well. I mean, even if you look at it, my agenda won sort of in that he was barely available in the playoffs, and it didn't even matter for Boston because they built their team so well. Like
I saw the Celtics play in Philly, and early in the season, and the guy that stood out to me on that team was Derek White. That guy is one hell of a basketball player.
Derek White, God, I wanted him so much
I
on the
mean,
Cavs. Like when they were basically looking for players in that Levert search, I wanted them to get Derek White so bad in that period. And just imagine if Derek White was that guy for the Cavs.
And the other thing about the Celtics, they picked up Drew Holiday, which of course the Sixers got rid of him too. But that Dame contract is not going to age well.
Yeah, I agree.
No,
they owe him like $61 million 3 years from now.
This is the thing I always remind people.
Sure.
Like these deals happen because of the desperation of teams trying to make a move. The reason why Jared Allen is a Cleveland Cavalier is because the Nets, or rather Houston, but they wanted so badly to get James Harden, and the Nets were willing to do anything to do it. And that situation where the Dame situation forced the hand of Portland, where okay, we're going to trade to the Bucks because they have things we want. They got Drew, and it kind of seemed that like after Dame was gone, they weren't really going to try to be a playoff team. And then Boston just swooped in. They gave them Brogdon and Robert Williams, the third Time Lord, and they got Drew, a player that still had a lot to contribute, was a lot more durable, a lot more, had great defense, could score, and they're able to move off Marcus Smart, replace him with Drew, because of the desperation of the whole Portland thing, and like Milwaukee taking the bait. That's sheer luck.
Yeah.
And
right, fellas, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in there. I gotta run here pretty soon. We are at 4 hours of run time on this draft night. I did not expect. I thought like with them cutting the draft down from 2 hours to 1, I thought we were like maybe 2 hours of recording time. So I want to thank y'all for carrying the night, because legitimately we're about to hit 4 hours here. But this thing is, I'm gonna leave this up. We didn't have anybody so drunk. I did see X was like zonked out there for a second. So we didn't have anybody jump off the 480 bridge. I think this draft pick is one that we all gonna have to do like a little bit of research on. And then we got this next week of free agency getting started with potential transactions and everything. But I just want to say thank y'all, man, because y'all made this night kind of fly by. I looked over and I'm like, wait a minute, is this telling us that we've been running now for like 4 hours? And it's pretty impressive.
Thanks, Rich. You always thanks for manning the ship, man. You always do a great job. It's just great how you can add color to these college players that nobody knows about. And
for this night right here, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't carry anything. Like y'all carry. I was just sitting here. I was doing my research as we was moving along and stuff. So I appreciate
spoken like a true point guard. That's why we love it.
Well, rubber rim job, special draft night. Sebastian, and what's your cat's name again, Sebastian?
Mr. Cat.
Sebastian and Mr. Cat. Ron G played wingman for the whole night. Dr. Claw came through with some in-depth analysis and talked us off the bridge. Nate Dagg was doing everything around the house and sharing the audio for it with us.
Talking too much and doing the dishes, Our role, domesticated.
And we met his entire family in the process. Two for the Brew represented on the entire night. And then we even got cameo from Q-Tip So Q-Tip is here live for the first time, and he contributed some audio to the show. And then a couple of fallen soldiers that didn't make it through the night. Jig, X asleep, like what we talked about at his desk. That Smooth stopped in. So shout out. If you're watching us live on YouTube and you don't know, go over to realcavsfans.com. So if you think this was random here, it was some of our contributions and touching on things, go over there and join one of the best online communities for talking this Cavs and NBA stuff. Rubber Rim Job, Season 3, Episode 16, signing off. Thanks, pimps.
Take care.
Thank y'all. Y'all have a good night, man.
Seattle.
Bye.
Truth.